Hey everybody, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Real quick, Smoking Tire Podcast is brought to you today by Tempest. You've heard me talk about them before. Tempest is the easiest way to search the most amount of car websites at one time, right? Most amount of reach, least amount of work. It searches all the top car listings in one place, sites like Cars.com, eBay Motors, Cars Soup, Cars Direct, and many more. You even learn about things, because I had never even heard of Car Soup before, but that is apparently a place to buy cars. You also search many individual dealers and private sellers. You can compare that with the results from AutoTrader and all of Craigslist, not just local Craigslist, national Craigslist. So you can find the exact car you want for the best price without wasting a ton of your time browsing around all these different sites. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're just browsing, sometimes you're really searching, you need a car, and it's like you got 12 tabs open and you're bouncing back and forth, and you see the same car maybe on a couple of places, and then it's just a disaster. So this brings it all onto one tab. It makes your life very, very easy. Autotempest.com. Just check it out. That's it. And what else we got? The Smoking Tire Podcast is brought to you by Dylan Optics sunglasses. I don't know if I've actually said this before, but Dylan Optics are now available in prescription. The process is a little bit trickier. It's actually done individually. I hate to be the guy, but if you are interested in these awesome Dylans that I've been wearing for, at this point, almost 10 years, and you've gone and you're like, but Matt, I have a prescription, so I can't get those glasses. No, you can, and I will help you. If you need a prescription for Dylan's, actually, just email me, matt@thesmokingtire.com. You'll get me directly, and I will send you to the right person. They have an optometrist now who can help make these lenses. You just send in your prescription. It's very easy. Dylan Optics, if you don't need a prescription, go to thesmokingtire.com. Click on the Partners tab, and there's a Dylan banner right there. If you buy a pair of these amazing sunglasses that I love so much, I'll send you a free t-shirt for supporting the people who support our show. Also, are you into watches? Me and my friend Cameron Weiss, a master watchmaker, have a new podcast about watches. It's called Watch and Listen. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can listen to it on iTunes or Android platforms, Shout Engine, just like this one. Anywhere you get the Smoking Tire Podcast, you can also get the Watch and Listen podcast. And lastly, Beeline Coffee, delicious brew, the official caffeinated beverage of the Smoking Tire. I've got my own roast. We had our roast. We went through it. We got a new roast coming out, new Smoking Tire roast coming out soon. Let's look out for it. In the meantime, code TST will get you 15% off anything from the Beeline Coffee store. This stuff is a delicious micro batch coffee from the greatest coffee producing regions around the world, whether it's Central America, Africa, the islands. They have it all at Beeline Coffee. They have decaf, they have espresso. They got it all. They love cars over there, and they sponsor a lot of racetrack events and grid life and stuff like that. And so we love having them. We love drinking the coffee. Code TST, 15% off anything in the store at Beeline Coffee. And now, on this week's episode, we have a pair of folks who couldn't have been luckier to find each other. It's basically that we have Yeti and Yolo, which are not their real names, but this is what they actually do go by now, and they are Overlanders for life. They're like nomadic, wrenchy, off-roady, camping, rugged, inventing, blogging, vlogging. Like, they were like the same person doing the same thing, and then they found each other, and now they do it together. They're so fun. This is such a great conversation. Please enjoy this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast with our new friends, Yeti and Yolo. Hola, folks. Smoking Tire Podcast. Bienvenue. Welcome. Sunday afternoon. It's a Sunday. You got us to work on Sunday. Actually, the only reason we worked on Sunday, with my respects to Yeti and Yolo and their travel schedule, which we will learn is very hectic, is that Hannah went to Brazil. And I don't have a girlfriend, fiance for a weekend, so I'm here. Hi, guys.
Hey, what's up,
welcome. Yeti, Yolo, Yeti. AKA
They know each other.
That was for the audience. I just did
know.
it forwards and backwards.
Are you here with somebody?
Are you? You guys should meet. You should probably hang out.
You need
Welcome.
to ride somewhere?
These guys rolled up fucking. Actually, it's very beneficial that it was on a Sunday because you rolled up with matching Wranglers, matching trailers, but like. They each have 2 seats, and you guys presumably enjoy each other's company, and yet,
But not that much.
not enough. You're like, oh, we'll hang out after we're done driving.
Absolutely.
That's gangster. Explain.
You need
this,
2 unless one goes wrong.
Yeah, you guys are Overlanders, like real Overlanders.
I guess so. If you put a label on it.
Bro, your Jeep doesn't have a fucking body on it, homie.
Well played.
Pretty
Totally.
sure.
Yeah.
And you have a matching trailer that you apparently made.
Yeah, I built that.
You're an Overlander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
You are.
There it is.
And you as well have a Jeep with a matching trailer. Did you make yours too?
I wish I did, but I didn't.
You did? Okay.
No.
Build not bought. No, it's okay. Listen, I pay to have people build my things, so I respect both sides of that equation. And I checked up on some of your stuff. Tim was a follower of yours and said these guys are hilarious. You got to get them in the show. I'm casually into off-roading, but correct me if I'm wrong. You guys were doing the same exact thing, but not together?
Absolutely.
And then you found each other and started doing it together?
That's the pretty good
Is that
explanation.
the shortest
of it.
possible version
Yeah.
of it? Give me the accurate version.
So, yeah, we were basically kind of living the same lifestyle on similar paths and found ourselves kind of crossing over a little bit there. And it was one of those things where social media actually had a positive influence on our life.
Oh, yeah.
the rare moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she was out there, I think, in Central California at the time.
And where were you from?
San Diego originally.
Both California, though.
California.
That's not horrible.
No. It could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. I mean, if you were doing the same shit and you were in like Kyrgyzstan, it could be a real problem.
Oh, man.
Okay, so you like find each other on Instagram, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And then what? You slide into the DMs and
Yeah, she got creepy real quick.
It's always me. It's those dang hashtags.
Yeah, so
I'm sure she was like, whoa, a guy with tats and a beard on Instagram. I've never seen one of these before.
It's fresh.
yeah.
It's fresh.
Where am I gonna meet a bearded dude with a
From Southern
bill
California.
hat,
The ones that live out of his
tan in
vehicle.
a sleeve?
Yeah, it was exactly that, really, though. We were kind of just living our lives. I found myself in a comfortable position in life, worked my ass off to get to where I was able to play the majority of the time. And
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a good place to be, but at that time, I was kind of doing that like self-evaluation, a little life check, and realized that no matter how many cool things I had, I had the Mercedes, the Audi, the new trucks, the RVs, the boats, and all the other crap, I still felt like there was something more out there. And that's when I became, I guess, open to the idea of just kind of walking away from it all. And through
Almost all of it.
Almost. I
Let me
kept
get
the
rid
Jeep.
of all of it except this fucking kick-ass Jeep that everyone's going to think is the fucking shit on the ground.
Exactly.
Functional. It is functional, though.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not like a
I
Jeep.
gotta,
I
gotta take that one dig, but it's awesome. It's a fucking cool Jeep.
I call it YOLO bait. So
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, okay. Self-acceptance. That's good. So you walked. What was the previous gig?
Are you like a dentist? I really want it to be so
Yeah.
funny if you're like, oh,
Can we
it's an
take
account for
guesses
you
and how close
yeah,
are we?
let's shoot a couple.
I think Southern California, San Diego, but good money. I think you worked for a weapons manufacturer.
Man, that's pretty solid. Nope.
No? Okay.
No.
I'm just gonna go real estate.
Boom. It
Real
was
estate?
real estate was a side gig. And you know how that works. And then at the same time, I was like restoring classic cars and stuff like that too. So I had a little shop going too. So
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's where the ability comes from because
Yeah.
you built a lot of your stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
gotcha.
Yep.
And then what about you, NorCal?
I was working for a beer distributor, and so I ran the media department and did all the graphic design work, things like that. And I just found similar situation. I was happy but not happy, and I think the more people pushed, like, you're out there and you're exploring, you're doing all these things, but you need to start saving for family. You need all the typical stuff. And I'm like, that's not. I kept feeling like I needed to grow up. And I'm like, you know what? No, that's actually not what I want to do. I want to do something completely different. So we found each other, and I quit my job, moved down there, and we decided to just do something different.
So you're just like wandering the earth now?
100%.
Is that the thing?
Yeah, it was a real, like, legit fuck it moment where we had that all night conversation where you lob those dreams back and forth that you do in life, but by the end of it, we both committed to actually doing that shit.
So, okay, the actual plan. What is the plan?
That's a heavy question, just because it seems like we made those plans, set the goals, then crushed them, and kind of had that weird hangover moment after getting to that point. So they're kind of always evolving, right?
Yeah, at the time.
What was the first plan? The original plan?
Yeah, the first plan was to start going out and adventuring a little more, maybe spending a week here, 2 weeks there. We kind of just kept expanding it, but at the same time, we built the Yeti Built Shop, where he was building a couple projects and doing some things to help fund it. And then I did all the graphic design work, built a website and all those things to help fund everything we were doing. And then we got to a point where that's all we were doing was the shop work, just to afford to be able to go out. And we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So we just kind of closed up shop and made it a full-time gig to just travel
Doing,
around.
and okay, what do you do? Just do media stuff for funding or sponsors, or
that's a good question.
What's
So
the deal?
She's a like freelance graphic designer, so she does a lot of that stuff. You can do it anywhere, right? Pop up the laptop and do that. As long as you get internet connection somewhere, you can blast that stuff off. There's a lot of rad relationships with brands that do product testing on board, because 365 the stuff's on there, and it shows real quick when it has a shitty hinge or something like that, you know. So we get involved in a lot of that kind of stuff, and then as things escalated, it kind of got to the point where just making a living at this point is vague as that is. It's kind of like rolls into another thing. Into
Well, you
another
create
thing.
a lifestyle, and then brands pay you to be associated with that lifestyle in one way or the other.
Absolutely.
I know that hustle.
Yeah.
It's a good hustle.
Yeah, it's a trippy hustle.
It's a trippy hustle, but I mean, if you
Welcome to the future.
If you live reasonably cheap, then you can take it pretty far. You know?
Right.
And you do YouTube videos as well.
Just started a YouTube channel, and that's documenting a build we're doing. So kind of a good way to circle back to answer the question. To date, we're doing like a partner build on an adventure dream rig. So that's a source of income that can help bankroll the rest of the year, kind of thing. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started in San Diego, I'm guessing, right? And you're here today. Is this the beginning of the journey, or you must have been on many journeys before this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's been, we pushed 500 days. Well, before that, we lived in a tiny house cabin. When I
build
moved
it
down,
we picked
wish.
up like a 1920s, 1930s National Forest cabin that was completely remodeled, and that was the first step out of that all night conversation. One of the things we said that night was like, how rad would it be to live in a little cabin up in the mountains and just say fuck it to all the other stuff? So we pared down our life, swooped up a cabin within like 30 days of making that decision.
How tiny was the cabin?
446 square feet.
Yeah.
Small.
It was small.
It's like a little bigger than this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
It
Legit
was
small.
basically one big square
Yeah.
and then 2 walls for a bedroom and
That's
a
like
little
the
door
cabin
for a
in
bathroom.
Hateful
and
Eight.
That's it.
It's basically the cabin in Hateful Eight, right? Have you seen Hateful Eight? That's about
wait, we
the
did watch
one room cabin
Yeah.
where they all fucking freeze.
The one room
That was
play.
actually bigger, I think.
That was-
There's a
That
lot
was
of
a
shit
lot
went down
bigger.
in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, they have room to shoot at each other, and you know.
They had 4 cabins, that's for sure.
Okay, so step one, tiny cabin.
So we did that for a year and a half. Then we decided to hit the road, and we did that for a year and a half. So we did that for 500 days.
Yeah, 500 days out of the adventure rig. So in that 500 days, it was legit sleep in the tent, camped on the shore of the Pacific, Sea of Cortez, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic, and then I think like Lake Michigan and a bunch of other bodies of water.
That's awesome.
And we just bounced the country and hit Baja a couple times and just kind of stretched our legs.
Which
Wow.
rig is the adventure rig?
Well, I'd say both of them. So
Right,
we,
okay.
that-
sorry, for that trip, were you in both
we were in the
Jeeps or
Yeti
one? Okay.
in my rig.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
sometimes mine, sometimes his. It depended on where we were, if we'd leave one behind at a friend's or place like that.
When you drive in one rig, who drives? He drives always.
Well,
That face said always.
you do let me drive, but he's a driver, and if he sits passenger, he's like, "Come on, let me drive."
You a little
let me drive."
antsy.
Wait, so for people listening, real quick, will you just break down the two rigs and like the difference, kind of Cliff's Notes?
And we can do imagery here, Tim.
We
so
can't for people watching, obviously.
Which one do you
but
want to
for-
start with?
Start with
this guy,
Yeti
Yeah.
since it's right there.
All right, so that's
The Yeti is the person and the vehicle and the shop, it seems, right?
almost like I'm on the run.
Yeah.
It's a 97 TJ, little Jeep Wrangler. Started life bone stock when I picked it up. So
It looks stock now.
I kept the
stock.
grill, part of the hood, the cowl, and windshield and dash. So, the frame too. But that's my rig. It's pretty purpose built. It really started out life as like a weekend rock crawler type build, and evolved into what kind of monster it is today, where I'm trying to do everything with something that was really never meant to do everything.
Right.
So kind of like a Swiss Army knife.
And it's a V8, right?
Yeah.
You
so-
put LS in it?
Yeah, we did the 5.3 variation of the LS platform. So
Is that easy?
it was the first one I had ever done, and Yolo and I took on a challenge to see how fast we can do it with the tools we carry as our trail repair tools. So
Interesting.
Whoa.
like a 250 piece Husky kit from Home Depot,
Yeah.
an electric impact, and a borrowed welder. And day 5 it was installed. Day 7 we drove it out.
Wow.
Wow, that's quick.
So,
Cool.
No lift, nothing.
Is there? Did you guys have an engine swap kit or like a mount kit from somebody?
So we worked with a outfit out of Utah called Novak Jeep Conversions, and they have it sorted so well. It's kind of like that. You go to Home Depot or somewhere like that, and you buy a sweet new barbecue.
Yeah.
And you get that book.
Yeah.
I just did that.
It was,
put
it was
together.
like that.
Yeah.
And we learned to wire and do everything. So it was
That's a good thing
conversion.
about LS swaps. Everyone's figured one out already. There's written an instruction.
I
manual.
think they dubbed it. It's so easy a Yeti can do it. It was
there you
kind of
go.
ridiculous.
Yeah. That's
So,
cool. And then
yeah.
you made this like custom trailer that goes with it that kind of matches. It's like exoskeleton sort of style.
Yeah, they're
Looks like
both
something
like
out of Halo
exoskeleton.
almost, right?
Yeah, exoskeletons on both. It's got like a desert digital camo kind of thing. It's like a lifted trailer, which I have never seen. Is awesome.
And then there's like a pop tent on top.
Exactly. So
Those tents are pretty cool.
Yeah,
how
they
quick
work.
does that go up?
5 minutes and we're sleeping.
That's awesome.
Bedding inside and all.
Really?
Really?
Oh yeah.
Is
That's
it
me.
waterproof?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been in some gnarly storms.
Really?
Nothing legit storms. Yeah.
Like rain, snow, wind, tornado. What are we
Tornadoes
talking about
touching
here?
down. Yeah. We slept the first night in Iowa. We're fresh out of California, and we post up right next to a cornfield, obviously.
What
And-
other option do you have in Iowa? Honestly?
I think it was an hour in, and we were like weightless in it. It was trying to lift the trailer off the ground, and we had no clue what was going on. It was
That's crazy.
It was a
Like
mess.
heavy canvas, so you have some
Yeah.
good insulation. and
yeah,
all
good
that.
call. It's like a ripstop material.
That's gnarly though.
Yeah. Yeah, it was legit gnarly. So we've
When
been
the
in.
tent's lifting up, I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe.
I
What
know.
other kind of? I mean, there's a bunch of room in this trailer. What else are you carrying in there?
So the trailer I tug around is mostly like a cargo trailer. So I haul all the crates of gear, dry goods, supplies, stuff like that. If we're doing an extended stay, really kind of a purpose built trailer that can follow the Jeep wherever it needs to go. So departure angles are real radical. It's all tubed out so that I can rub it on trees and rocks, and articulating hitch. So if either the Jeep or the trailer rolls, it doesn't affect the tow vehicle or the trailer.
That's
So,
amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait. So it's like a swivel hitch on it, so like they can articulate fully independent.
Every direction, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So you
how
can close
cool
it
is
like
that?
a book. You know,
Oh.
I've done transitions through like
Like a
deep
river
ravines.
wash? Oh, yeah.
And had the top of the tin on the trailer touching the top of the Jeep.
Oh, weird.
So
Whoa.
yeah.
Kind
That
of bug
is
you out a little
seriously
bit.
steep.
Yeah, there's no bind. The beautiful thing about that system is it's super well mannered on and off road, so it doesn't translate between the two vehicles. It kind of eats it up in the middle, which is huge for us because at times we run like the traditional ball, and that can get a little squirrely at 80.
Right.
You know, when you get that
Yeah, you
little
get the
fish dip.
sway.
Yeah.
Does it eliminate some of the
it
sway?
eats all that stuff
that's
up.
nice.
So it's good for us.
That's luxurious.
Yeah,
I like that.
Look at us.
All right, seriously. So when you go 500 days, what is a day look like?
Man, that's a good call. I'd say every day for me starts with a full systems check. I'm under the rig, checking all the witness marks and tightening bolts and kind of sorting things because we use those things every single day.
So every day you're transiting somewhere.
Typically, We've done extended. What would you say it would have been?
We've stayed a few weeks at places at times, and that's when it gets real comfortable. You know what I mean? Because we don't always drive around unless we decide to head to town to get more water or
supplies.
Honest question, because listen, Jews, we don't really camp. I love driving off road, but like I don't really. When you post up somewhere for like a week, fuck do you do? Honestly, for that's a lot of time to be in the woods. Like you make your fire, you gather your more wood in your water, but like what do you do for all that time?
You know what? There's a couple ways to put it. One way is it's like a reset button for life in a way, because you kind of fall into more of a natural pattern every day. And
up with the sun, down with the sun kind of thing.
I don't know.
Circadian rhythm,
I don't know. I actually, you would think that happens, but for me, I like to hibernate. So I sleep in, because the campfire life's the best part of camping, right? Where you're around. So we do those super late nights and we'll sleep into 10. But I mean, there's always something to do. We traded all those like responsibilities in your average life for maintaining the things we have that allow us to go do the things we do. And some of that is like maybe she has to bust out some work, or I'll do some writing projects or things like that happens.
collect firewood.
Yeah, that's
and then collecting firewood.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of eats up the days. And like when she said we stayed 3-4 weeks in one spot, it's almost like a blink of the eye, because you kind of fall into that pattern just like you would get up and take the dog out and take the trash out and do all that. It's just, you find your way that way. So
The
very interesting.
desert has become one of our favorite spots, just because you can stay long term. You have the beautiful nights that are open, and the clear skies and all of that stuff. So the desert is a place, especially like Southern California, the Southwest, is a place that always draws us back here for that reason.
Where is your favorite desert? Like Glamis Desert, or like high desert kind of thing?
Well,
like Utah desert.
Our favorite spot has been in Anza Borrego.
Oh yeah.
So down there by the Salton Sea in that area. So that's
where
become
Ford
one of
developed
our
the
places.
Raptor. Did a lot of the Ford Raptor testing in Anza Borrego.
I could see that.
Yeah.
That's ideal for that.
Yeah.
So like even as simple as unhooking the trailers and setting up camp, we'll jump in one of the rigs or both of them and we'll go explore.
Oh, okay.
And you could eat up an afternoon doing that. Get out, go hiking, do stuff like that. She's right. I'd say that desert's probably one of our favorite. Catavina in Baja, though, is just surreal.
I've never been to that one. What's that one about?
Oh, it's super unique. There's like the saguaro cactus,
on like steroids. They're massive. You go to Arizona, the saguaro cactuses. These are like 10 times.
Giants.
Like
Really?
Land of
Oh
the
yeah, they're
giants.
huge.
Monster saguaro cactuses?
Monstrous.
Oh, that sounds appealing.
And then there's like the acacia bushes and things like that. But the thing that really sucks you in about Catavina in particular is it's the only place on Earth that there's a boojum tree.
The what?
Boojum tree, and it's where Dr. Seuss went before he had all the illustrations done. So
really?
those really whimsical, tall.
Do you know how to spell boojum tree?
You'd ask Yolo that.
I believe is BOOJUM.
Boljum? The boojum? Boojum tree? Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. That
Whoa.
looks just like a Dr. Seuss tree. That
They're crazy.
makes all the sense.
And they're giant.
Yeah.
So it's super whimsical there and crazy.
Yeah. BOUJ. What was that, Tim?
JUN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
super cool.
and then the petroglyphs and stuff down there, you could just wander around and see a bunch of that. So that place is pretty rad too.
Cool.
Because you guys were just down there, you led like a expedition or whatever you want to call it down there,
Yeah,
right?
so a Baja Adventure Rally, is what we call it, the Yeti built 750.
Ooh. And that's what your t-shirt is.
Yep.
It's 750 miles, maybe?
Yes, that was the intention when we started the rally, but it's turned into a 1,200 mile
Oh, shit.
plus rally.
That sounds like Mercedes and BMW's naming schemes. They have nothing to do with what the actual size of the engine is.
Yeah, I saw your map through Mexico, and I was like, that looks like a lot of 750.
Was the plan to do like 750, and then people were like, why don't we just do the 1,000 since we're here?
man.
And then it just kept expanding.
You know what? I think she let me kind of route the first one out, and I did like the counting the digits on the hand. I'm like, it's 750 miles. It sounds good.
Yeah, as the crow flies.
So
like,
like 15 tanks of gas later, I'm like, oh man.
It was hard because we found going a few times certain places on the map we wanted to go, and that kind of directed the route we were going to take. And then when we added it all up, we're like, oh, that's a little longer. That's all right.
how many scouts did you do?
Oh, ton. We have a guide service that runs, I think, 3 or 4 full runs each year before we go. And
wow.
we did 3 or 4 ourselves before that.
So you scouted a 1,200-mile loop four
yeah.
times
What
and
else you
then
gonna
ran
do?
it again. Do you even need a fucking GPS by the time you do it?
Holy shit.
No, we don't use GPS. No.
So you
don't?
scouted it?
No, sir.
Just you two scouted it.
Yeah.
Wait, ever? Or
Before-
just on this?
It's in there. You know what? I'll answer both those
That's okay.
questions. She's really good at like map and compass, like legit does that kind of stuff. Me, not so much, but yeah, we definitely scouted it a few times before, and then when the guide service is obviously down there quite a bit because trails close, things change, things get washed out.
So a guide service is a thing down there. It's a business.
Yep.
And you
Absolutely.
hire them.
Yep, absolutely. So we have fixers in all the villages.
That's
and
a thing in
towns.
Mexico.
Yep.
Oh, I
well,
didn't know.
it's a
But
state
in
service.
Yeah. American guys that know the area really well because they've been running the Baja 1000
Right.
races
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that.
Oh, this
for
is
years.
this is their gig.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And they're killer at it. So
How chill.
Yeah, so it works
That's
good
nice.
for us on that. And then we have the chase truck and all the things like that because when you're bringing people from all over the country with like the variation in rigs,
Yeah.
things get sorted out real quick. Like, what the Jeep's really good at, the Subaru isn't, and
Right.
then what the Subaru is,
Oh, it's just Subarus on this shit. It's
Everything.
rally car.
everything. Yeah,
Rally car,
Raptors,
off-road,
Tacomas,
Really?
Jeeps. Yeah.
What
So
would you
We
say
had a
is the
Bronco.
minimum vehicle that you should bring for something like this?
the Subaru was pushing it. We
was
had to
gonna
do a
say.
lot of bypasses, but
Was it like an Impreza?
it was. What's the SUV that's out right now? The
Forester?
Crosstrek?
No, the Crosstrek.
Oh, the XV Crosstrek?
Yeah, with a lift and all the bitching stuff.
It's pretty cool.
That's a
I
bold
mean, it's
move.
pretty
They're
bold.
pretty
Pretty
cool.
bold.
It was
Yeah.
bold of him. We were proud of the guy.
We called it ambitious. And he made it back. I mean, what I was saying out there was like the most remote stance nation ever because
Yeah, right.
it was like, I think he pushed some ball joints out and all kinds of
no.
stuff, but he
So
killed it.
what about like stock Raptor or ZR2? Would that
Yep.
probably be okay?
Yep. If you don't mind losing the rear bumper and stuff like that.
What about a Safari Porsche?
Safari 911?
Oh, I like the idea. I like that.
That's what I'm building.
Talking my language.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'll come on this shit in a press truck.
Yeah,
Let's get it.
be amazing.
Range Rover?
yeah.
Definitely
Yeah,
Range Rover,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Windows up, AC on.
It would be delightful. It would be
be
exactly
delightful.
how
You
this
don't
Jew
mind-
would like to go camping.
He says that, but we did a week-long trip through Utah doing exactly the same thing with a trail full of trucks, and I was in the F-150 in air conditioning, chilling.
Yeah, I was in a Previa.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was the best time ever.
I think I need to hang out with you more often.
It was fun.
So
Yeah,
we've
you
done-
think off-roading in your... Go ahead,
We've done 2 of these videos called All Cars Go to Heaven, and we just buy a Craigslist vehicle for, the bar or the budget is set at whatever. First time we did, we bought 1 car, broke a Jeep, and then bought a $300 Tercel and made it the rest of the way.
Holy hell.
And then
Yeah.
the next time we bought 2, one was a Previa and one was a Hyundai Accent, and drove them across all of
It
Utah.
was, the backcountry
awesome.
discovery
Made it.
routes, the
Oh,
Butler
yes,
maps.
absolutely.
So yeah, I did the Utah backcountry discovery route
So
in a
bitchin'.
Previa, in a stock Previa. I didn't even put new tires on it. Stock, whatever, for whatever. Who knows how old the tires were?
Just have-
Well,
Whatever
hell,
tires
they're
it
holding
came
there.
with. They're holding there, yeah.
They did hold there, yeah.
Because the Tercel, we blew a tire in the first one, and there was a spare in the back that was a snow tire, and we're just like, well, let's see if this works. And we put it on, it worked,
Yeah.
and we drove it.
Yeah, if
So
you
that's
guys
what
want to
we've
do
done.
it's very, very fun.
That would be fun.
It's very
that would
fun.
be fun.
I like it.
Well, the new new trend is lifted sports cars. Off-road sports
yeah.
cars is a new thing.
I love it.
Because, as the new sports cars get very, very fast, the speed limits aren't getting any higher. So you have to break the law by ever higher numbers to have any fun in these cars.
Go to the dirt.
Whereas we've got so much desert and nobody cares out there.
right.
There's no laws. What's the difference? But, it's like, so I'm doing the 911.
I love it.
I'm
That's
doing one of those.
badass.
Yeah. But people are also doing like 240Zs and like Miatas and like rear wheel drive sedans like Crown Vics and stuff like that. And it's super fun, loose surface, big fishtails and sliding around, and that's the shit now.
Yeah,
looks
baby.
awesome.
It's
Off-road
like
sports cars are where it's at.
showing up to a big pond with a little fishing pole.
Right.
It makes it fun as hell.
Hell yeah, and even that, or even the cities that we live in the roads are all trashed, so it's cool.
How many cars or people went on your trip to Baja?
So we have a pretty low limit on how many we let in just so we can like keep them together.
Yeah.
10 was our max this time.
Yeah.
17 people and 10 rigs.
Do you all caravan together, or do they get
Oh,
pretty spread
absolutely.
out? All right.
Yeah, keep everything tight. It's
Radios, all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's not competitive. It's more about the experience. It's kind of like a lifestyle retreat. We had a big push for a long time as we were running around and posting stuff on social media for a chance to maybe do a leg of one of our journeys, and it led to that event. You know, so it's just exactly what we'd be out doing, just kind of hyped up a little bit.
It's like adventure drives, really.
Yeah.
My friend Rob, have you heard of adventure drives?
I can imagine.
My friend Rob and I took this road trip together, like in sports cars across Europe, and people were like, "That's so awesome! I'd want to go." And he turned it into like a thing.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that exact trip
So
where
it
he'll
parallels
set up
exactly what
everything.
we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, super
so-
fun. So you got Raptors, a Subaru, a bunch of Jeeps. I'm guessing predominantly
Yeah,
Jeeps,
there was
right?
four
Yeah,
Jeeps.
all the variations,
Yeah,
though.
a YJ, our two TJs, and a JK,
Yeah.
JKU.
Tacomas are big now, so
Yeah.
I mean, people are pumping those things out. So we had a couple badass Tacomas.
We had that Bronco. How old
full
was the
size,
Bronco?
like an OJ Bronco showed up.
Oh, cool! Those things are
So,
badass.
yeah,
they're
and-
good investments
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
for those of you listening live, is our live stream good?
Yeah,
For
we're
those of you listening live, if you want to ask Yeti and Yolo some questions, get in on that super chat action. We'll get to it in the second half of the show, or questions about anything fucking else. Because
Did you guys read about the new Bronco 2020?
You know what? All I saw was a silhouette under a curtain,
like a
type
tarp.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the dimensions look right. It looks boxy, you know?
Yeah.
It's supposed
It-
to have solid rear
it looks
axle
the
and be
correct
pretty well,
silhouette. We'll see.
So you're thinking IFS up front?
I think probably. I mean, what do I know? I don't know shit, but
I'm sure.
That would be-
I'm
that
sure.
would-
Probably,
Yeah.
It's gonna
They-
be
they-
driven on streets.
and they said it was going to be more Raptor oriented.
Oh,
you know,
well,
they
probably
wanted to go
killer
after the
then.
Wrangler, but
Yeah.
IFS would not be quite as rock oriented, a little bit more high speed oriented.
Well, it seemed like this year. So I edited some highlight videos for King of Hammers this year, and the drivers were kind of split between IFS and solid front, and it was one's good for the it's like what do you can try to go fast on the sand more, or you're gonna try to be beefier on the rocks.
Yeah,
and
I'm a solid axle guy, but when you talk King of Hammers, it's hard to deny what those IFSs are out there doing. They're slaying it.
Yeah.
I mean, at speed, they're killing it, and then they're still hitting all like backdoor and all the other hard obstacles. So you can't deny that. I think I'm just old school with the idea of a solid axle because I know how to fix them.
Right.
I could take a axle
Yeah.
shaft with me on the trail, and
Do you
oh yeah, we have extra drive lines and everything. So we take
extra drive lines? Do you literally have an entire extra drive line?
front and rear for
Two.
both rigs. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you got to think ultra remote location, and something as silly as like U-joint goes out,
Yeah.
or you twist an H-block in your driveline like I've done. You're not calling anybody to help you. Most of the time, you don't even have cell service. So
Wow.
we've kind of pared it down to like the mandatory spare parts and the tools we need, and then
like what would break that you need to get out of there, and then what can you just
Yeah.
deal with until you get
and then
back
we
to
parallel the
civilization?
builds as much as possible. Now with the 5.3 in mind, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but we try to do like same lug pattern on the wheels and tires on the trailers and the rigs, similar parts that we could just swap and carry one spare of each.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we stretch things out as much as you can, but
It's like Oregon Trail. It's like buy wheels and axles. You're like, ooh, I spent too much money on cows and clothing. Shit.
That's so true.
need more
That's such a
wagon
good way
wheels.
to
that's badass. Yeah.
So you need a 5.3 then, because
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it just
That would
makes
actually,
sense.
Right.
yeah, that would actually be economical,
Right.
for you guys because you'd only have to carry one engine's worth of spare shit.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
tell us about the other rig, Yolo's rig.
So mine's a manual, the 4-liter inline 6. And so it's still got a stock engine and it's running strong. So there's no reason to switch it over yet, except obviously the dream of having the LS in it.
Do you prefer how having been around off-road, on-road with both? Do you think the LS improves the truck a bunch, or not? Is it not much different?
Well, it's about 100 pounds lighter.
That helps.
He can leave me in the dust, and he can haul our trailers up steep hills a lot better than I can.
So yes, okay, so it's better. Okay. Now that
Say
that's
yes.
sorted,
And we get better gas mileage out of it.
it
Right.
gets better gas mileage.
Right.
too.
4
Yeah.
liters terrible.
Yeah.
From gas.
All right, cool. So LS is better. Okay, cool. Now that we've solved that, what else you got in there?
I've gotten a set of Rubicon axles because it didn't start out as a Rubicon. So it's got the Dana 44 axles in it with the upgraded G2, the full setup of gears in it. And it's got 35-inch tires and just a bunch of awesome rock parts put on it
Yeah.
that you just put on recently, actually, right before we came out here.
It's a nice pair. They make sense. It works. I like it very much.
We recently put on like the inner fender liners and the hood louvers to help with the heat because they tend to just it's overheated quite a few times. I did.
You have an enclosed cabin. That's
Yes.
really where you can lock things in yours. That's
I
where
can roll my windows up and turn my AC on.
Yeah,
He
Yeti's
cannot.
has only a front window. There's no other glass or any. Is there even like a cloth or whatever you call it, soft top that covers that at all?
I have a little bikini top up
Yeah.
on top, but other than that, no, it's full-time open rig. I've had icicles across the roll cage inside as we go through snow blizzards, and
See, at that point, are you just torturing yourself? I mean,
Hey, I was in the cab too for that one.
yeah.
were you like, when we get home, you're putting fucking doors on this thing?
But wait, where's home?
Do you guys have a home at the moment, or your home's parked out in the parking lot there?
Technically, that's our home. At the moment, we are doing a build out in Iowa, and it's temporary, and it comes with a house that we're staying in.
Build comes with the house. So
called
we bought
negotiation
this
skills.
broken Jeep, and it did have the optional 2-bedroom.
Well, we get out to Iowa over the summer, and our first night there, we go through that thunderstorm. With all these tornadoes touching down around us, and we're like, we're not going through the winter out there in a tent.
No.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, it is brutal. It was like minus 19 with 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was the first time I ever took swings at the air. I felt like I was being assaulted.
We get it at the gas station. He gets out, and he's pissed. I'm like, what's your deal? This whip. You start throwing your. I've never seen him do that before, ever.
I'm gonna beat up the air. I'm gonna beat up the weather.
Yeah, that's exactly the move.
Iowa was the windiest place I've ever been. I think.
Agreed.
It was so crazy.
Agreed. Everybody talks about Wyoming. I'm like, you haven't spent any time in Iowa.
They talk about Ireland like Ireland is like. It's like right before the pleasant wind becomes unpleasant. Ireland's like, la, 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 the wind is so great. And then Iowa's like, fuck.
It really is like that.
100% that. Yeah.
So you're doing a build there?
Yeah, so we're putting together a Jeep build for a client, and it really kind of turned into a bigger thing than we thought it was. Originally, it was a couple conversations we had about what would be the ultimate adventure rig based on our experience with ours.
And what would that be?
Well,
Does it have a solid axle?
it does. It does.
Does it have windows that close?
It does have that too. Compromise, right? We had to compromise. Yeah, so we went with a JKU 4-door Jeep and basically kept the frame and part of the body and just went big on everything. The LS3, the GM Performance 495 engine, and went with full width 60s, Terraflex axles front and rear, and just really wanted to make it as super robust as possible because it's going to do all kinds of incredible things in its life. So
Cool.
it's a lot bigger and stronger than even our rigs. So one of those kind of throw all the big parts at it so that it,
And with the longer, it's the longer one. Is it a 4-seater or did you just use the back for other stuff?
it'll be modular, so it will be a 4-seater, but it's actually going to be like a 3-rig variant. So I'm going to do a complete aluminum rebody on it, and it'll be like an expedition type rig where it has compartments and slide outs and all the things you would want on like a super extended stay across Africa or somewhere
Wow.
like that.
That's sick.
And
Cool.
the idea of that rig we dubbed ADR, Adventure Dream Rig, was to make it so that it isn't a one-off rig. Everything that I'm going to build, including the body, will mount to factory locations so that if you pulled up in another 4-door, you can literally just unbolt that and slide that body on. I think the second variant in the body is more of like a hunting rig where it'll have like a guide platform and the shooter's rigs up top.
Yeah.
And
like
then-
the more stadium seating style?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
it is going to get out and do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
So how long would the changeover between like those two setups be, do you think, once it's all done?
it's hard to say, but I'd like to make it where 2 men can do it pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say hour and a half.
Oh, that's not
type
bad.
of thing.
That's awesome.
You know,
Yeah.
in a facility
Cool.
where it's set up to do that.
Right.
It wouldn't be something you would want to do just to take out for a Saturday. But the reality of it is it's kind of like a purpose-built rig, so that if that was what your adventure or your expedition was going to be,
Right.
well, of course, you're going to pack your bags and go through your gear anyways. Same thing goes with that.
That's
So-
awesome because that way you don't need to own 3 different trucks.
Yeah,
Like, you just
totally.
have one thing. That makes so much
So,
sense.
but yes, you don't need to own 3 different trucks. But on the other hand, I'm thinking about it in like rich guy perspective. Rich guy, does he want one truck and 3 bodies, or does he want? I picture this client of yours ending up buying 2 more fucking chassis so he doesn't have to swap the bodies around.
Right. Well, what part of that was the mentality of making it so that it could be duplicated later and sold.
Yeah,
you could sell
right.
one
Obviously,
or 2 or
from
3.
your perspective, yes, you could sell
even
kit
the client,
number 1 or number 2.
Even the client had that vision and was like, if we're going to do this, I could hire anybody to build me, rig number 1, rig number 2, and rig number 3, and have that rig in my driveway. But how cool would it be to then be able to switch out gear for the application?
That's pretty cool. Are there pictures on your Instagram of that thing?
Yeah.
How far down do we have to scroll to find those?
Not too far.
Are they on Yolos?
I'd say jump over to mine and scroll down a bit. That's the back end of it. That's a video. You'll go a little bit further and you'll get some more pictures of it. So I broke the build into 3 stages. Stage 1 was full mechanical swap. So we teamed up with Novak again out there because they're the experts in that, and we put together the drivetrain and full mechanical swap on it.
Looks pretty beefy with no front bumper on there.
Look how wide that track is.
How big are those wheels?
37s.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, I kept them real.
But the
For some
track's
reason,
super wide,
why
right?
is that? Because there's no bumper on there? Why does that look so huge?
Well, they're super wide. I went with the 70-inch wide, full width, full-size truck axles on it.
Fuck, LS3 sits right in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I didn't have to cut a single thing.
Those AEV guys use the 5.7 Hemis.
There you go.
Have you ever seen? Did you ever consider that, or was it
I
always
did.
LS?
I like the LS because A, parts availability anywhere in the world, and B, it's just so right down the middle,
And it's more compact too.
Yeah, it is. It's tight, really. I put
Oh,
that.
is this your body with compartments here?
Yeah, that's one of the renderings we're working on.
Oh, that's cool.
That's all aluminum, and it's a loose rendering, but
So,
Is it
departure
extended?
angles.
It looks like a truck bed.
It's like a backpack that hangs off the
Straight
back
up.
of the 4-door
So
frame.
you'd pull the hard top off, pull the seats out, and it would slide in, and you could look at the rivets or the bolts down the side.
so
So it would go
fucking cool.
right over the factory body without any modifications.
so the part of the body you would keep or plan to do is like hood and doors, and then the back part is like the
Everything.
modular part.
yeah,
That's
but
the
I would
aluminum
keep
rebody.
the whole body though.
Okay.
Oh, so would it slide over the pickup truck bed portion of it? Oh, neat. Yeah, it's got like cabinets like you'd see on the side of a fire truck or an ambulance.
Right,
And then
well-
like a ladder to go up to the roof.
Right, exactly. And
Cool.
then doubled up, like kind of the stairs up to the roof would be slide outs for like the house batteries and electrical systems or gun safe or whatever you want to put in each of those.
That is smart.
That's super
rad.
fucking cool, man.
That's sick.
I appreciate it.
You're building that. You're building all that in Iowa.
Absolutely.
Fabbing that all in
Yep,
Iowa.
Yep.
Well, that'll
man.
work well with the JLU pickup too.
Wow, that's very cool.
I was hoping
Yeah.
so.
Have you guys? Have you guys
like,
played
I
with
thought
the new?
about it. I thought about it.
You played with the new Wrangler yet?
we have out.
Oh, the JL, yeah.
Yeah,
we
the
did
new one.
actually.
I had
We were
to
out
peel
in
her
Utah.
out of that thing.
What's up with it?
Just let me go for a spin. It was so nice.
Is that
It
Easter
was?
Jeep weekend?
Oh, the inside of them are insane. It just well, we live out of TJ's. You still roll. Well, for me, you still roll up the window by hand. If I gotta
Yeah.
reach over,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there rolling up the other one. You get in this thing, and it's got all kinds of compartments. It has its own. What do they call those mole straps on the back seats? Like what vehicle
What is
comes
that?
with those
It's
built
like
in?
the military. It almost looks like a checker, and you put the straps
webbing.
through.
The what?
You guys seen Molly? All right, I'll pull it up.
Science.
Sorry,
Well, my
no.
bag has mole straps.
Oh
So you
yeah,
can-
like nylon loops to clip stuff.
Yeah,
too.
and you know how
Oh,
tactical
okay.
stuff are.
Yeah,
that's
I
a
didn't. I'm
thing
sorry.
right now.
I
Yeah.
listen.
They come built into it. The back
Look,
seats, they're awesome.
That's very cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah, sorry. Jews don't know the terms for these things. We just,
They call camping homeless.
yeah. Nylon loops to clip stuff to. Well, that's a good thing. Actually,
very helpful.
dude, all cars should have like a strip of nylon loops across the back seat. That would be super helpful.
Right.
Totally.
Because
Right.
I'm sure someone sells like a thing that loops around the headrest and you can hang in the back.
Yeah, my
Like,
mom's
Yeah.
got one of them trash bags that hangs
Right
behind there.
The
Yeah.
loops would make more sense.
But the loops, you could clip some carabiners and like. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
whack your microphone. That's real. That's a really neat idea. So what else other than the loops was it? Did you wheel it or did just poke around?
literally just drove it in a circle around the parking lot and was fully impressed with it. I'm sitting there taking videos and zooming in on everything. It's just nice. It's
Well-
nicely built.
Our buddy Corey, who works for Com Media and works with MagnaFlow, he went out to Easter Jeep weekend and he got to test like one of the new ones and climbed it was like Lion's Back or something in Moab. And he's not a very experienced off-roader, but he had video of like 3-wheel, up this crazy slick rock, and he's like, you would not believe what these things can do.
Out of the
new ones
box capabilities,
Right.
probably
They just keep
insane.
seeming
Yeah.
to keep adding like more and more hardcore gear to what you can get off the showroom floor. They're
Yeah,
like,
it
"Look, we
becomes
know what our
standard.
market
Yeah.
is." So.
Rock
Right.
sliders and 33s and lockers
Right.
front and rear.
The same kind of stuff they do with sports cars now.
Exactly.
And they're adding,
Yeah.
you know, you get crazy sport exhaust from the factory. You get hardback seats from the factory.
Well,
you
the
can
demand's
get
there, right?
Lightweight panels
Yeah.
if you're
They know.
Porsche.
Why leave all that to the aftermarket?
Yeah,
Take
why
the money.
they get that money? They gotta get that money. That's cool. So, all right, the next plan. So, you start 500 days. Well, I want to go back 500 days a year on the 500 days in a row on the road,
Absolutely.
which is what, a year and a half, roughly.
Roughly.
A year and a half. How many miles covered in the 500 days?
I was well over 20,000, but a majority of it was off road. We'd try to tie, like, say, Southern California to Arizona off road.
Off road.
You know.
I like that very
Yeah,
much.
it was fun.
Have you done coast to coast off road? You must have, right?
No, not off road.
Not completely.
No?
As you hit the Midwest, that becomes real hard, other than like Oregon Trail and some of those other designated things, because there's so much private property.
Oh,
That's stuff's super hard. Logistically, it would be a massive thing for us to figure
How
that
did the
out.
Land Rover guys do it? Remember they did that as the stunt?
Yeah.
They did it LR4, right?
I think
they were
it was a
promoting
Jay
the
Leno thing too,
LR4,
wasn't it?
and they drove from North Carolina to the Pacific Ocean
Pretty
off
badass.
road.
You could do it, but you'd have to put some hardcore planning into it.
Well, they're
You'd have
Land
to get-
Rover. I mean,
Yeah.
They've got money. They got
They got
guys.
time.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, what's that guy's name?
Permit
Bob.
office.
Bob. Fuck. Land Rover's like head off-road guy. His name, I think his name is Bob. He was gangster. He's just, you know those guys that are just like everything. They're so calm. They're whatever happens, they're the most calm person. It says
It's like talking to a black belt. And they're like,
it says the guy who's just fully in touch with what's happening right there. What is the hard? Like, I'm trying to think of like when you're out there, like you're in the middle of nowhere. No, presumably no one knows where you are, right?
Most of the time.
Like, do you have like a GPS beacon to somewhere?
no,
Is there
not
like
like
there's
that.
no like emergency button that's like the get me the fuck out of here
It's
button?
probably more like our last post on IG on social
really?
media, and it says like, "Hey, we're in this last town getting tacos somewhere," and then
You could be 300 miles from that.
yeah, exactly.
That's legit.
It's the Trans-American Trail that Land Rover did in 2013.
Trans-American
go.
Trail. What's the stat? What is is there?
4,000 miles, it says.
Fuck.
Whoa.
It's pretty awesome.
Put that on the list.
Stock Land Rovers. Land Rovers are every
What was
time
it
I drive
that-
one, I'm super impressed with how good they are off road. They're awesome.
What was the thing they used to do? The Discovery thing in like Africa?
Camel Trophy.
Oh, the
Right,
Camel
Camel
Trophy.
Yeah.
That needs to come back.
Those
in a
videos
big
are
way.
all
nuts.
in on that.
You guys bring that up, and we do what's the closest thing to it in the U.S.
In a competitive
that?
nature.
Yeah, and that's what we're
36
gonna.
hours of URI. Yeah.
What's that?
So it's a super condensed version of that they do in North Carolina.
Military style.
Yeah. So
it's
they throw in the military
based.
aspect.
So what is it? What do you do? What's the thing?
It's, I guess the best way to explain it is a backcountry endurance challenge, off-road based, like the Camel Trophy.
Yeah, so
Is
it's
the best way to
vehicle based
explain it.
triathlon. So you have like obviously driver skills, vehicle endurance,
Winch skills.
went super deep on the recovery stuff. So the most ridiculous like multi-point recovery, snatch block off the winch type scenarios on like wet clay hills in the rainstorm at midnight type
Wow.
stuff.
Whoa.
So they put you through all these kind of missions. You do that. Since it's a triathlon, they added last year was like competitive canoeing. So you have a canoe on top of your rig the whole time, and the Yeti was laid over on a tree, and all I can think about is don't wipe out the canoe, right?
That's so funny.
And then they add the
Get a bottle of Flex Seal for the canoe, right? In case you punch a hole in that bitch, there's no screen door.
We
Yep.
should have. We should have. Just in case.
yeah, and then they added the firearms aspect of it. So they'll fatigue you, and
Oh,
you'll be
wow.
like 48 hours into it, and then you'll have like a shooting competition. When
That
you're just
fucking
beating
badass.
This sounds
around.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
how do we
hardcore.
How
sign
many
up?
people and how many teams enter something like that?
Last year was 21 teams.
21 teams.
So we were one of 3 male-female team.
Uh-huh.
All the rest were male.
Which made there 3 total female. Was there any female teams?
No.
No,
Okay.
no.
Not yet.
So yeah, we were fortunate enough to be.
I can hear Jesse Combs going, "Oh, really?"
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm sure she could get out there pretty easily. They had BF Goodwrench and Monster Energy. There's a bunch of really big teams that show up for that. So there's a pro class, and then like a general enlisted type class would be like your weekend warriors. And that was our first competition together, and we entered in the pro class and did fairly well.
What would make someone a pro?
I don't know.
To be honest, that's a good question.
Did you show up with that fucking Yeti and they go, pro?
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. To sign up, and they're like, well, you guys are pro class. We're like, okay, there you go.
Yeah, once your Jeep no longer has a body on it, they're like, you're a pro.
That's pretty legit. That is how it went.
Or they like smelled you after 500 days of camping and they're like, pro.
That's a good call, because we were doing push-ups in the mud at midnight in the rain, and then they'd shove us into our tent at night till, you know what I mean? You don't take your shoes off, you don't have showers, you don't have nothing.
So it's like obstacle course stuff, and so it's like
Very
military.
Yeah, it's
Boot
boot
camp
camp
style.
plus driving.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the
Is
best.
there an actual military team that enters in like a military Hummer? Because
No.
that would be gangster.
That would be gangster, but they run it. So the commandants are all Marines and stuff like that.
Yelling
so they
at
run
us on
you.
microphones.
I'd love to see a stock military Hummer.
It
How it would
might
do.
not meet the requirements for the width. Because it's so tight in North Carolina on those OHV parks. So there are some requirements on rig capabilities there.
Right.
It would probably do really well, except for it couldn't squeeze through a lot of the trees.
You guys ever fuck with H1s?
No,
but I'd love to.
No.
I had
love to.
one back in the day
man.
as a street car. I lived in Manhattan. And I hated it. It was the worst thing ever, except during a blizzard when it instantly became the greatest thing you know.
Shelter.
No, dude. First Avenue, Manhattan, blizzard, not a car on the road, 2 a.m, 80 miles an
Like
hour
a
up
boss.
First Avenue.
that's awesome.
Not stopping for nobody or nothing. Rooster
yeah.
tails, like a cigarette boat. It was the greatest. It was the greatest. It was the worst thing and everything else. But wheeling, they say they're good.
Welcome to my life.
They say,
Yeah, you're just slinging mud all day with no fender.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like whoever wins that competition, they just pull you aside and they're like, ever thought of joining the military?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you did a little too well. This is John from CIA.
Fred Williams took from Motor Trend, he took a H1 and just like a junkyard military H1 and built it up and had some fun with it.
oh, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
This guy I know here in LA has a military H1 he bought at an auction for very little money, like $8,000 or something, and it has no roof and it has no doors. It's like the minimum requirement to be called
Steel
a
and
Hummer.
rubber.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not what I'd call good.
Yeah. He put for padding for the seats, he just went to like a home and garden store and just got fucking lawn chair cushions and put them in there.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind Hummers if they weren't so huge, and then the seats were so tiny. It's like a coach seat on Spirit Airlines. It's ridiculous.
Like all that room on the outside, and then you get inside, and the transom on those things is huge, right? It's like
because the entire drivetrain is up in the cabin
for the ground clearance.
So you have the 18 inches of ground clearance.
Sounds bitchin'.
Yeah, it's probably great for what you guys are doing.
Bitchin'.
I think you guys should
next
pick
thing.
one up. Honestly, it could be the next thing.
We've been looking at the Stuart Stevenson, those big.
What's that?
I forget what the designation is on it, but it's just the giant military rigs, and they do the same thing.
Stuart Stevenson.
Yeah.
That's the name of the rig?
It sounds like a liberal arts college.
Stewart and Stevenson. Yeah.
Stuart and
No, it's this guy right here.
Wow, you
pick
get a
one of
lot
these
of
guys
weird
up.
looking.
What did I say?
You get some weird looking humans if you Google that shit, including whoever this guy
Put
is.
an and in between those.
Oh,
There we go.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it's like a Mitsubishi Fuso with portal axles. There's people we see in Los Angeles here who basically put, like boxes on the bed of this that are like mini RV boxes, kind
Exactly.
of.
Right.
Yeah.
Same mindset.
Right.
So full out. Yeah.
Forward control.
So that would be like an RV for you guys, more
Right.
so than
It'd be
something.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still not that big. They're pretty short wheelbase, right?
Well, it's a lot bigger than a 4x6 tent.
Yeah, but not. It's not that much bigger than a Jeep pulling a trailer.
Right.
True.
Exactly. Same
True.
footprint.
Right?
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's taller, but
More inner space.
Oh, and you guys could ride together. You know what you got to do is you got to get dual controls, right? Dual controls you can change on the fly.
That
Just
would be
boom.
awesome.
You could fab that. Get a UK spec one and a US spec one and just smash them shits together.
The right hand, left hand drive style.
Totally.
Definitely saw a couple people in either those or something very similar in Iceland when we were there. Like
Yeah.
a lot of It's kind of the
yeah.
the next
Oh,
step,
sorry.
Earth Cruiser.
Top left picture there, Tim. The very top left.
It's the same Earth.
Yeah,
Cruiser,
Earth Cruiser. Yeah, there's a dude in my neighborhood who's got one of these things. It's like a little
these
box.
are about 250 plus.
Well, it's baller, but you could. I mean, Yeti could build that. There's no reason Yeti couldn't build that from that military truck on the other page. I've seen your Jeep outside. You could build that thing.
Yeah, I plan on it. I plan on it for sure.
That'd be awesome.
And it's kind of like how you said the military Hummer, where you can pick it up for next to nothing, practically steal it.
Yeah.
Those things are under 20 grand with like 15,000 miles on them.
Yeah,
Huge
it's just
diesel
a
in
chassis, right?
Yeah.
Why do they have
everything
such
you need.
low miles? Why don't they use them for longer?
I wish I
They
could.
probably go really slow.
They'll just drive around a base.
Yeah, exactly.
They
They
never
just
leave
stocked
the
them up.
base. Yeah.
Slow car, fast house.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, we
Yeah.
went to Overland Expo 2 years ago, and I fell in love with the Unimogs there.
Oh, the best. The new Unimog.
And I'm watching them
Yes.
flex.
They're
I'm
fresh,
like,
right?
"Oh, have to have one. He's like, do you know how much those cost?
Yeah,
And we
Unimog.
started searching around, and we kind of came across these instead.
Unimogs are pricey.
They are.
Pinsgowers are cheaper. They're old school.
Yeah.
They're
There's
really.
a Volvo too,
Yeah.
303 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of sorted through them all and got to where it was like really to build something that we'd really want to use and was capable of what we want to do with it. Just swoop something up like that, a decommissioned military thing. And
That
go
would
from
it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that interior on that, is that the Earth Cruiser interior?
Yeah, that's why it's 250.
Oh hell yeah! Pull that picture. Can you zoom in on
Spa
that
tub.
picture a bit so I can see from back here? Is that a hot tub on the left?
No,
it's
that is a toilet.
Oh, it's a toilet.
And your head
Looks like
stays
a
above
hot
it like a periscope.
Oh, I'm
But
about
the
this
top
though.
flips up and it's a shower curtain, and sometimes they build them where this is actually the door to the cabin. It comes through the bathroom.
glamping.
Oh, so you could
So you have a
open the
mud room.
outside
You have a
door.
mud room.
Yes, mud from your feet and your bum. There's,
You look like a gopher when you're on the toilet. You're just
Did he see a shadow? Did he see a shadow?
I'm looking for light. Yeah, exactly.
but that's like a very like light, airy cabin with the thing popped up. That's very
really
cool.
Got to be a different drive. Does that require a different driving style when you're, obviously it's not as nimble as the Jeep. The
Absolutely.
center of
It would
gravity,
be
I
it'd
don't
be
know.
another tool kind of thing in the quiver where we'd pull it out for something specific.
What we talk about is having like 2 bikes on board to cruise into
Oh,
town.
yeah.
Some enduros
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could also fab up a dope trailer that this thing could pull on one of those universal hitches.
Yeah, throw a Jeep on
Swivel
top of
it
that.
up. Oh my God, how meta.
Wow. Totally cheap.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's oh man, I'm so jealous. Have you guys taken this roadshow international yet?
Just Mexico.
Not
500
yet.
days a
Yeah.
year. I think we need to incorporate boats into this, and you guys need to go to Africa or something, or South America.
All
or-
about that.
All dreaming of that.
Yeah, we were
for
talking
sure.
earlier about doing a Mexico to Alaska kind of.
That would be fun.
That
Yes.
kind of really stretch our legs so that maybe we'll be a little bit more acclimated to.
Can you get
Yep.
to across Canada off road?
You can go Argentina to Alaska.
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
remember our friend,
Right.
friend Ben.
Or what is it?
Our friend
Darien
Ben
Gap's
tried
the
to go
problem,
from
right?
Tierra del Fuego to Alaska in a Volkswagen microbus. And yeah, oh my God,
Oh,
indeed, right?
Combi Life?
The Combi Life, yeah. And dude, the guy, I think he made it. He did
Yeah,
make it
he did.
eventually.
That's badass.
Eventually, I think it took him like a dozen engine rebuilds.
Oh, man.
It was not a good van, but
No.
it was an adventure. It was multi-years for sure.
Yeah,
That's
it was a
bitchin'.
real adventure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys in like reliable cars could probably do it without a ton of trouble. He said most of it was paved, didn't he?
Oh, that's intense.
Where? Which part?
Ben.
Oh, his route.
Yeah, his route, most of it was paved. It was
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the
Well, he
terrain wasn't the issue.
He didn't
The-
have an option,
the
though.
reliability of his
Like,
vehicle.
if you guys found an off-road route you wanted to take, you could take it. Versus
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had to stay on the highway. Of
Right.
course.
Right.
Right.
The
Well,
other thing we talk about is going to Australia.
Oh hell yeah!
I mean,
In
that
the
would
Outback?
be yeah.
Yeah,
why
it'd be
not?
killer.
Well, I
Yeah.
think you guys, if you haven't been to New Zealand, I can't recommend it enough. I know they do off-roading there for sure, but the fabrication and stuff that happens in New Zealand is extremely crazy.
Really cool. Like
Yeah.
all engine swap, any sort of swap is legal. But when you swap a car, you modify a car, you have to bring it in when you register it, and they'll inspect it to make sure you did a good job. And if you didn't like build your cage right, or if they think your engine work is shoddy, then they'll be like, no. But if you did it well, they're like, here's your sticker, and you can have a V12 in like a 3-wheeler or something, and they're like, oh, good job.
Yeah,
There
they're
you
all
go.
crazy JDM stuff. You know, you guys would probably get beat down with those Delcia vans. You know, those like Mitsubishi
Oh, yeah.
off-road vans. They're
Oh, yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we know our friends live in they built a house on the back of a flatbed truck. like a giant flatbed truck. They put an actual house on it.
Like a wood house with brass fittings inside.
Look at that Delcia.
Really cool.
These are always like 2 or 3 of these things at Radwood. They're rocking.
Car porn.
That's a great little van.
It is a great little van.
That's seats 6, I think.
Yeah,
We just need a modern day synchro. Need to bring the VW synchro back.
Tim, Google New Zealand house truck real quick, just so I can. I'm sure with our amazing SEO, it'll be the first thing that comes up because our shit was shared. Where's the New Zealand house truck? No, down. That was theirs, but go down, right, top. Wait, where is it? Oh, nah. Fuck, where's the thing? Just keep scrolling down. Oh, all the way on the right there, Tim. Down 1. There, that's it.
There's a lot of truck houses in New Zealand.
Yeah, they love this stuff, and I
do.
think they avoid some kind of taxes.
What?
There was
Probably.
some sort of
Straight gypsy right there.
I think we need to move to New Zealand.
It's great.
I'm all
It's
in.
very great.
Shit, I'm all in too.
It may not have enough room for you guys. I feel like you guys cross so much land that it may be too small a country.
Just do 500 days there.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Call
that'd be
it
the
call
best.
it done.
Yeah.
I think you guys you'd love Australia though.
Yeah.
That's the outback is big and mean, and you'd probably like that.
I would
You'd
like
probably
that.
like that.
But it's funny because you're not the first one that when we threw out Australia, that New Zealand came up. They're like, you should really check out New Zealand.
It's all about the builds down there.
Yep.
Oh, that interior picture, Tim, right where you just were up. No, one up there. That's the interior of their truck.
Wow.
It's very cute.
That is
It looks
rad.
like a little tiny house.
Yeah, that is rad.
Yeah, it's decorated. It's got stained glass.
Could you imagine what
Very
that
nice.
weighs? My God.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
It
you
doesn't
wouldn't
move
off-road.
very far.
No.
Yeah, I was
No.
going to say, you don't.
It can move, but it doesn't. They moved it once from when they built it.
Moved it once.
Yeah.
Not very mobile.
They drove it at like 20 kilometers once, but it's not really meant to be moved. Those guys were awesome, man. They were fucking.
It was cool. I took when we were in Iceland, I took the ferry from Iceland to the mainland to return a press car, and there were a lot of Defender 90s on there.
Oh, that's
and
right.
a lot of them had license plates from all the countries they'd been to, or stickers from all the countries they'd been to, and some of these people were just, oh, we went to Africa, and then we went up to Holland, and now we're in Iceland, and we're gonna dip around to Norway or wherever they're headed.
That's bitching.
It's
That's
pretty
a
rad.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are so comfortable being, off the grid and out of communication that I feel like that there's so much world that you guys need to be seeing.
It's
totally.
like anything though. It's like we feel like we're growing into something. Every time we accomplish something or set a goal, then we realize maybe it's just staging us or posturing us for the next big thing. So
Yeah.
it's definitely in conversation for sure.
Something that happened with us is, we had the talks. We want to go to Africa. I want to, go to all these places. And when it came down to it, it's like, how much of our U.S. country have we really seen? Like,
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. Most people do not see enough of America.
no, and it's not taking the I-80, the I-90 across the country. It's taking the back roads and seeing the old towns that nobody even sees and the farms. And that's kind of what we enjoy doing.
We felt we were doing like a disrespect to the country by not thoroughly traveling every nook and cranny of it. And that really was what allowed us to, sure, we bounced around SoCal at first, and the weekends turned into week-long trips, turned into a month-long trip. And then we realized, even though we jumped 3 states on an adventure, we missed so much. Those little backcountry mom and pop shops that you hang out for 4 hours and chit chat with them are the things that make our life what we enjoy most about it. So
well, we meet the
that's a fair
locals
point.
and they give us the sweet spots. You know what I mean? You got to check out this place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it always turns into one thing leads to another, leads to another.
Yeah, you can just. I mean, because you guys are so free, you can just spiral out. Like you can do America in 10 years from now. It could be 10 years. Like I would say, because of your abilities and your drive and your comfort of just being together wherever the fuck you are, like it's almost like a superpower. Like you should take it to other countries once you're done with this one, because you have an ability that I think very few people have.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's definitely a mindset that we had a lot of conversations about, and it feels rad to have like our own little sweet spot in North Carolina, and we're not from North Carolina, where it feels like home right there, where we camped for a week and we've returned 4 times because that was rad, right?
Mexico.
yeah.
That's another sweet spot too.
In Mexico or New Mexico?
New Mexico.
Where in New Mexico?
There's down in the southwest corner is a little national park called City of Rocks.
City of Rocks?
Yeah, and it's not one that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and we were just traveling.
Tim, can we get some pictures of City of Rocks National Park? Is this one worth seeing if we're in the area?
Oh, yeah.
I love a good national park.
Top 3 for us.
Really?
Yeah.
What's so magical about the City
It's like
of
the
Rocks?
Flintstones.
It's
Oh, really?
tiny. It's only a few acres.
Oh,
There's a
so
couple
that's
City of
so
Rocks.
cute.
Yeah, you got to look up New
There.
Mexico.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You guys, have you been to Goblin Valley?
No, but
You
I've heard
haven't?
of it.
Goblin
no, I've heard of
Valley
it.
is, you will love it. It's in Utah, and it is a...
Click on...
That looks, it's a bunch of little hoodoos.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Goblin Valley. Goblin Valley is a
yeah.
bunch of stone mushrooms.
That's rad.
It's like
that's
a
awesome.
huge field of stone mushrooms. It looks kind of like this, but actually even more dramatic.
So
That
it's
looks
small.
very fun.
It's in the middle of a bunch of plains,
small.
and
Wow.
we camped there. We went there for one night, and
Can
we
you bring
stayed
your Jeep
for
out
3
into
days.
the middle there?
Absolutely.
Oh,
You got to
cool.
stay on the maintained roads, but
Yeah.
we were
It goes all the
there
way
all by
around.
ourselves. We own the place, so
See, that's nice about those little parks in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Like nobody shows up. Tim,
Man, I
give me a
just see a
picture of
rally
Goblin
course.
Valley.
Yeah,
Actually, in the aerial, I see a rally stage. On that, 100%. Zach is right. Zach is there. Yeah, Goblin Valley right there is. Yeah, see, this
exactly.
is the same kind of deal, right? Giant stone mushrooms.
Epic.
Where's this? Utah?
Yeah, this is in Utah. I'm not saying that I specifically endorse doing drugs here because that would be a crime. But I'm just saying, if one were so inclined to look at
Allegedly.
go to a place
Mushroom or
allegedly
something.
where
perhaps.
there were hallucinogens.
It looks like a clothing optional place.
It's fucking great. And those, so it's hard to get a sense of scale, but those stone mushrooms are like 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
So you can climb them,
Yep.
which is, it's badass.
That's
you're right.
a lot like
Yeah.
this.
You
Just
nailed
a
it.
smaller
Yeah,
version.
same kind of
You
deal.
nailed it.
Yes.
Same kind of deal. We have the same taste in little
There it
parks.
is.
This is perfect.
You walk around barefoot out there, and there's no one around. It's awesome.
That's got to be
It's
lovely.
beautiful.
And I bet you get very dramatic light and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
Are you
Alabama
guys-
Hills.
Like Alabama Hills,
Off
yeah.
395, which
Alabama
is
Hills
just-
in Central California.
Yes, we've heard of it, and I've looked it up, and I know exactly where it is, but we've not been there.
It's very pretty. It's outside of Lone Pine.
And it's like sand, and then there's all these kind of globular rocks bigger than those and more spaced out. And then the backdrop, if you look west, is like the entire lower Sierra Mountains,
it's
and there's like
beautiful.
14
Yeah, here we go.
and 12,000. Like, yeah.
It was the setting for the TV set for Lost in Space back in the day. So it's
okay.
like they used it for Mars.
Look at
you
that.
know that
Super
picture there
dramatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
I
really
love it.
cool.
too. Fantastic light. See that? Like that's Lost in Space right there.
That's exactly what it reminds me of. Is that same place.
Very very dramatic. Are you guys photography nerds as well?
You know what? As much as we want to say, no, not really.
Man,
we're starting to get
I feel
into
like
that.
you guys are you're in these landscapes all the time. You know.
We started out doing a ton of cell phone pics. I've become what they like to call, what our friends like to make fun of me, as a picture hoarder. I just snap photos of everything.
It's digital,
so I have
man.
a bazillion.
Digital
It's digital.
hoarder.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, you
Media
have-
is so cheap. What's the difference?
It tells you see how many hard drives she carries with her.
Well, now you guys are saving weight. You're using SSDs, right?
Right,
You must
right.
be. It's like grams now. Every gram counts,
and
right?
you're an enabler. At this point, you're an enabler.
Well, it's bad when you have over 200 gigs
Yeah.
in your phone, plus another 64 that the phone comes with, and it's full at all times.
I understand.
So, but we recently got a camera, a Canon T6i.
Okay.
And so I've been learning. to take night shots and that sort of thing, and we're getting there.
Well, the pictures on your
fun.
Instagram are well composed and full of rich colors.
Right.
So there's something going on there.
There you go.
Definitely.
You got a circular polarizer. You get a circular polarizer. You want that.
Okay.
And then you want a neutral density filter. That's it. That's all you need.
Boom.
Science.
And
Done.
if you have an extra bar to clamp something, maybe a tripod.
Right.
Maybe.
I do have a tripod.
Because if you're camping in the desert, star trails. It's all about star trails.
Oh, we see the most gorgeous scenes, and in the past, we just never knew how to capture them. And so that's what I'm trying to finally pick up on is capturing
She
all
spends
that
the
stuff.
majority of her time playing with cameras now.
Good. You should. If you're getting to these landscapes and being there when the light is good is the hardest part.
Right.
You guys have solved that. It's just what settings do I put on the camera and where do I point it? That's
Exactly.
it. What have you guys ever had a crazy wildlife encounters that really rattled you or?
We've never been rattled. Not much scares us anymore, unless it's of the two-legged nature. You get some creeps out there, but
We've had that
Yeah.
more than animals.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. You get that.
The wild, crackhead. His natural environment.
They start to pack up. It gets dangerous.
Here we see a pack of wild crackheads. They're known to swarm, but you can distract them by throwing salt on the ground and running away. You gotta like get a stick, like Steve Irwin used to like lift the rattlesnake, and he's just like.
I guarantee that's going to be replayed every time we see one. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. So I think the gnarliest wildlife would be like bobcats and stuff like that. But I mean, even a house cat's a little spooky if it wanted to get after you.
Yeah.
So.
You had a fox one time that got kind of upset at you and took your shoe and sock and took it across the desert
And then
away
shit
from camp.
on the other one that left
Sneaky
behind.
fuckers.
Yeah.
No, but I don't
about
know
it.
why I was expecting you to see like mountain lions and stuff like that. No,
I think you see
bears.
You
or
see
something?
those. Well, yeah, you see them, but we just haven't had anything spooky happen. I mean, we're pretty out there with the rigs and ourselves. We're not hiding, so we're not sneaking up on much.
Right.
You know,
You guys have like hang your food and all that kind of stuff? Or
we
you
do
just-
that.
you
Bear
lock it in that
boxes,
trailer?
things like that. We
If we go
have
up to the
perimeter.
redwoods, we've had to do lock boxes.
Yeah, perimeter like security where we run trail cams and things like that so that we can capture what's actually out there.
Oh, wow.
Probably the worst wildlife thing there is a pack of damn raccoons. Those
Oh,
things
yeah.
are gnarly.
Oh, now that you say that, we've had raccoons across the country. Doesn't matter what state it's in.
God.
Where were we? Was it Wyoming or what state was it? We were camped by that lake.
No, it tried
and
to come
all
into
night
the
long,
tent
like
right at
every
my
hour.
head.
Really?
Yeah, it was spooky.
He's like,
I've
I'm
never
cold.
seen-
There's some nasty fuckers.
No,
And they're clever.
they don't back down either.
They're gross.
Yeah.
What kind of like? All right. What luxuries do you allow yourselves on these rigs?
That's a good call.
You can't leave it all behind.
No, they
What's
have-
on there that doesn't really need to be there, but you're go, nah, I want this.
I carry like a little RC car with me, a little 4x4, like
Sometimes
I agree with
both
that
of
decision.
us.
Yeah.
That seems fun.
around the campfire or post it up somewhere. That's like my one thing.
That seems fun.
Those are impressive. Like
Yeah.
the fully
Well, they're
built
scaled.
Yeah,
They're
they
scaled.
like they articulate. It's
Like when we
weird.
first started doing this, I used it as a tool for her to see how things react because they are scale. They'll still tip over at the same place. They'll still lose traction or gain traction in certain articulation, and also even as far down to breaking down the links and understanding suspension geometry and stuff. It all plays into the scale RC, and then helps her
interesting.
kind of wrap her head around. Okay, that's not scary because this doesn't do it. And then when she's in those situations, it's applicable.
Oh, did that work? Did the RC car give you confidence in the
it did
real
do.
articulation?
It did a good job, and especially understanding because when I got my Jeep, I didn't know anything about automobiles. Like I didn't know how to change oil. I didn't know how to drive a stick, and so I got this Jeep. Miss Tina is her name, by the way. I kept wanting to say
That's
Miss
two
Tina.
words? Miss Tina?
Yep, Miss
Okay.
Tina.
All right.
And I didn't know how to drive her, so I had to learn to drive stick. And
It's a brave move, though, buying a car you don't know how to drive.
Right.
Why did
definitely.
you do that?
You know what it came down to? I started doing all this research, and everyone's like, well, if you want to be a badass and you want to learn to off-road and wheel, you drive stick.
Meanwhile, how about Yeti's automatic
Like, wait
over
a
here?
minute. Wait a
Sensible.
minute.
Oh, I
Yeti's
guess that
like-
should have been my
Yeti's
luxury,
like, fuck
right?
that, I sit in traffic. That's stupid.
He's over there sanding off his shifters. Like, yeah, mine's a manual too.
Well, now I
Third
look
pedal and
back
everything.
and it seems more like the oldies say that. Now everyone's
Yeah.
like, why
Yeah.
would you do that?
I
Just
thought
get-
automatic was better because you never break traction.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
the sketchiest situations she's found herself in is where you're trying to downshift or upshift on some sketchy off-camber hill,
Yeah.
and you lose that forward momentum.
Yeah,
and
I
it
need
gets
3 feet. I didn't
Yeah.
have it.
You gotta learn watch my heel toe
toe.
tutorial.
Yeah.
My heel toe
Oh, there
tutorial
you
got
go.
you.
There you go.
I just think, now it's like with the automatics being really good, it's much more about just being able to choose your own gear than it is having that clutch pedal at this point.
Exactly.
Right. That's true.
But good for you for buying this, and you're an enthusiast.
Yeah,
Now
so-
you can do that same looking down on other people who can't drive stick that they did to
I
you.
get it all the time. I get it all the time.
Well, and it's probably better if you learn to drive off-road in a manual and then you change to an automatic. You have the skills. You understand how the system works.
Right.
Where if you go from like an automatic, which is what I've driven in off-roading, which is very limited, but then I can left foot brake, and it's almost like a crutch.
Yeah,
Because I'm like,
exactly.
I always have control over the drivetrain no matter what.
Right.
Versus you have to like plan your moves a little bit more.
Right. Exactly.
Would-
you know, and I,
Oh, sorry.
Go
Would
ahead.
you say if we did the LS swap, you would stick with like the AX15, the manual, or would you go auto?
I've considered that, but the more, man, when we travel through like LA and San Diego, I'm like cussing
traffic sucks.
that clutch.
Yeah.
Like, no way. I want an auto.
Yeah.
It'd
There
just
you go.
be
We
easier.
understand.
Answers that.
It's
We
too
understand.
much.
We
Like,
forgive
don't judge me. You see that? You see that don't judge me look she gave you?
Bro, I don't
perfect sense.
judge off-roaders who want to drive automatic at all.
No, it's all good.
I want to
think
like
I
put,
would.
I want to put you guys in $180,000 Range Rover.
I'll take it.
I think that'd be. I
Just
just want.
watch him hit the button for like
No,
hill
I
ascent.
want to see you take that.
The hill ascent button.
Oh yeah, you seen this?
Look
Hill
at his
ascent.
tone and his voice changed too. It was so
Hill,
proper. Like,
because I want to see your experience with hill ascent control. It's a cruise control for rock crawling.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
the opposite of what you're trying to do with life. Like you're out there trying to like no doors. I'm going to endure this rain and have this experience and build my character. And this is like hit a button and another button, and then it's.
And
just
then
like,
I'm going to go to that exact same place you go to while getting a seat massage.
Right.
it was perfect.
Hot stone massage. Oh, that's Mercedes.
Oh, the Mercedes
That's
does the hot
stone.
rock massage. Yeah, that's a real thing they do. Let's see. What are? Let's talk about. Since you guys have experience breaking Jeeps and building Jeeps and all this stuff, like if someone at home has like a Wrangler and goes, I want to replace the weakest thing about my Jeep for off-roading
that's a good call.
and just improve. Where's the most bang for your buck to go off-roading with a Wrangler right now?
You know, it's the simple things, back to basics. It's like shocks, tires, right? Maybe a leveling lift if you're just like entry level. That does a ton for you. I
What
bought.
are everyone doing? 37s now? Is that what you want? 35s or 37s?
We're old school. We run 35s because they're practical and we push tons of miles. And then we've also had to haul our spare tire up a hill and things like that where it gets ridiculous with 37s. Although the ADR's running that just because of the size and the wheelbase of that rig. We had to get the belly up. It still comes down to the basics to me. It's the same thing probably any old guy would tell you is, just make it right for what you're going to do and then grow into it. The weakest point, I think, of an out-of-the-box JK, if it isn't a Rubicon, is front and rear axles.
What are you? Yeah, you mentioned Rubicon Axles before, and I didn't want to stop you. I didn't pick up on it. What's the difference?
Splines, yeah.
Oh, is it the number of splines?
Splines, and then factory they come front with a Dana 30, which is a little tiny baby axle, and rear 44. Rubicons right out of the box come with selectable lockers, better gear ratio, 44s front and rear splines, just more robust.
If someone's going to go wheeling, should they really just get the Rubicon? Would that make their life? Does that make their life a lot easier later?
It's a trap because if you plan on keeping it that way, but almost every Rubicon that really goes out and goes wheeling has no Rubicon parts on it.
Oh,
anymore.
really?
It depends
Wow.
on what type
Stepped
of
up to
wheeling you
60s
mean.
and
Right.
whatever, yeah.
Because
Well,
it could
people
be
have-
light or it could be extreme.
Well, I think the people who are going extreme are not the kind of people we're giving advice to right now.
True.
I think the people that are going extreme have moved past light and are or they know what they want. But like, cause it's the same thing people ask me all the time about, like Corvettes, for instance, base car or Z06, and it's like, well, are you going to modify it or not? Because if you're going to modify it, you can take the base car like well beyond the Z06
Right.
for not much money. But if you want to keep it how it is, so that's sort of the same thing you're saying.
Same
here.
mentality, but I'd say the Rubicon ultra capable. It has like the hill ascent and all those kind of buttons too, where you can do that stuff. So it is good. Before I actually built the Jeep that's called the Yeti now, I went out and bought a 2012 little 2-door JK Wrangler, and it was completely removed from the experience I was chasing. This rig's raw. Everything's raw. You can feel every rattle, every bump, every noise is right there, and it's not masked. Even that little stock 2012 JK was too much for me. So I would say those rigs are super capable out of the box, just like you were talking about the Land Rovers and things like that. They'll surprise you. I was out running with my buddies that have similar rigs to what I have, and they were, I was keeping right up with them. Sure, there's a lot of belly rubbing and not wanting to rip off the plastic that's all around it, but I think I kept that Jeep for no more than 15,000 miles and sold it back to the dealer because it was just not that experience. But if you're going to go down and buy a Jeep or any off-road vehicle, I mean, technology's there. Like you said earlier, Jeep's not dumb. They're building them so that you can use them, and they're very capable. So
Yeah, I've gone to a couple of Jeep launches, and this was like 5 years ago, and they had like the Jeep Liberty, or like the Patriot were out there.
Oh yeah,
and they
the
were,
Patriot.
It was climbing.
right?
It was climbing the same
was pretty
trail
good.
as the other one. You know,
Surprisingly,
I mean,
huh?
it's a terrible, miserable piece of shit of a car, but
Thank you for clarifying.
I know.
no, yeah.
We're
It
all
was
holding our
Did
tongues
you
over
see
here.
Yolo start backing away from him a little bit?
It's fucking no. It's a terrible, miserable
Bad.
car. But me and Zach, like, nobody wanted to drive it. It was like the new Rubicon and the new Unlimited and the new Grand Cherokee and all. And then there was this like
It's
sad,
like the ugly cousin.
yeah, this sad, ugly Patriot. And Zach was like, "Yo, let's get in that." I'm like, "All right," and it was good.
it just went up
Like,
the same stuff. All
there
the
it is.
other
at
things are coming
wheeling.
up.
It was good at wheeling.
Yeah.
Right.
It was not good at being a car.
No.
Or being something that's desirable in any fucking way.
and that was, and now the tech has evolved, like we said, with hill ascent, descent control. Like everything's super smart, and it's like a hardware thing and then a software thing.
100%.
And they just combine those two. So I think what's cool is if you want to get into off-roading, you can have a safety net if you want to, or you can turn that stuff off and then just drive the hardware.
Yeah.
Right.
Another those vehicles I think would excel in what the label of overlanding is right now, because some people, they literally take fire access roads to go camping and do that experience that's really popular right now, and those vehicles are more than capable of doing that. And then if you found yourself in a nasty washout or something, you could probably work your way through it, you know? So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
The crossovers and stuff, like, it's amazing. Some of them will surprise you, and then other ones are like remember that Pathfinder?
Yes. The Colorado one?
Yeah, we got a Pathfinder as a rental.
I wish we had a Patriot.
Remember when Pathfinder, right? Our kingdom for a Patriot instead of a Pathfinder there. It was, they have ruined the Pathfinder. What a sad excuse for something called a Pathfinder.
We
now.
overheated the
Absolutely.
diff. It was
you
open. It
kidding
was
me?
open diffs
Yeah, it
on
was
both. You know,
trash.
so it was like running a stock Subaru Legacy as far as capability goes. But we overheated the diff and it couldn't climb anything. And the tires were dog shit on it, and it just
Right out of the box.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible.
We had asked for like a large SUV, hoping for like a Tahoe, which would have been fine.
It was Toyota
this.
4Runner or similar was what we
which
had
it is
requested.
not.
Or go fuck yourself. Or
Not
similar.
similar.
We got what you ordered
Not
right here.
similar. And then another time we requested a Tahoe or similar and got a Dodge Journey. Like, these aren't similar. These are very different.
You're not squinting your eyes hard
assholes. In the last few minutes of the show, we're going to go to your questions on the Super Chat if you're watching live on YouTube. Are people watching on YouTube right now? Is our stream working? Does anyone give a shit about it? We'll see. Stream quality, good. I like seeing that.
Works on Sunday.
It works on Sunday. Oh, the streaming works on Sunday?
Better.
Fewer people on the internet in general. Is that what's happening?
Hello, live people.
Perhaps.
Get on if you want to ask Yeti and Yolo questions for this. Get on the Super Chat. Yeah, on YouTube. That's a nice little system
So what's
they
the
have
next
set up
trip?
for
Did we
us.
go over the next trip?
Yeah, where are you going from here? Back to
What's
Iowa,
the-
right?
Yeah. So next big chunk road miles and off-road miles is here to the Midwest, and then we're going to jump on stage 2 of the ADR build, and that'll be the rebody part of it, and start kind of getting the R&D stuff sorted and get some aluminum panels together and back at it.
What portions of this journey are you going off-road?
Freestyle. I'm gonna let Yolo point and shoot, and I'll try to chase her through.
Yeah,
anything she-
usually if I'm not sitting passenger, I'm driving mine either way. I kind of take lead, and really it's all Google Map. You know what I mean? I just kind of pick our route. We drive like tonight. I'm not sure where we're going to stay. We kind of just, hey, how tired are you? I could drive for 2 hours. Or sometimes it's, I could drive till 2 a.m. Okay, well then I'll find something X amount of hours away. And
That's real cool.
You can do that kind of searching while driving? Respect.
no.
No,
Did she
I
do
would
a no
say-
like that?
Right. Matt,
Not at all.
we've
We've never
Googled
used
that.
Google while driving.
Well, it used to always be when I was sitting in the passenger seat, I could do that. Now it's like gas station stops, a
Right.
few minutes here and there, putting it together. And, that's why I say like the West, we go all the way up to Washington or out to New Mexico. You find national forests to stay at, and we can disperse camp just about anywhere. The more we get out to the Midwest, it's more like truck stops or random campgrounds
Yuck.
we can find. It's
Yeah.
a little harder.
There's a
I
lot
imagine
more
the
parks
Smoky
in
Mountains.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. I stepped on you, Zach.
No, Smoky Mountains are what?
Awesome. That was it.
Oh.
That's why I bailed. I had nothing.
There's a lot more national and state parks than I thought, because you always have the ones that get mentioned the most are like Yosemite and Yellowstone, and then I was doing permitting recently for a job, and I was like, oh, I found a glob of forest, and zoomed in. I thought it was just open forest. It's like, no, this is Butano State Park, and then next to that is Big Basin State Park. Like, all the green I was seeing was a state park. So there's tons of there's a lot more of them than people think.
Well, then too, if you're looking at the map and you know how you look and you think all the green spots are all the forests, that's not true either. Because you even look at Google Maps and San Bernardino Mountains they don't even look like mountains on Google Maps.
And you get there and you're like, oh, this is bigger than I thought.
True. So a lot of the times, like even when we went through Tennessee and some of those states, you look them up and there's national forests or little state parks. Like you just passed 20 of them, didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Or you're coming up to it and on the map it looks like nothing.
I mean, this is going to sound very dumb. Is there a good database to find them?
That's a good call. I don't know about the database, but there's like community like forums and things like that are really good about sharing that. So there's like Overland Bound is good at sharing locations, so all their members will input things like that, and they've kind of mapped it out to where you can do a route, figure a route out.
That kind of community, you could ask questions like, hey, I'm in this area traveling this part of the highway, where would you guys recommend staying? And people can jump on and give suggestions. But ultimately, sometimes I'm looking on the map and I'll see a couple options. Maybe I even jump on Instagram, and you know how you can look at locations? Yeah. And I can find something awesome that way too.
Good call.
That's good.
I'd say like Nevada, Arizona's in our near future for the off-roading, to answer that question.
For sure.
And then
you must be able to drive across Nevada without seeing a road.
Damn near.
I mean,
for sure.
Just don't go to Area 51. Everything else is pretty chill.
Exactly. I think we're limited on fuel range at that point.
Yeah. Do you have modified fuel tanks, or do you carry cans or anything?
And then we usually carry at least a fuel tank extra for each rig.
What do we always say? We never pass a gas station.
Yeah.
It's like you just stop, fill up. You only got a quarter tank.
Yeah.
Good idea.
If it's there, it's there.
Yeah. Especially because you guys are so freeform, and you might want to turn on the next dirt road and fill up.
Yeah, that's actually a rule that we have, is like if both of our heads whip when we see a 2-track off the side of an interstate or something, it's mandatory we turn around. And those have been almost some of our best stays where we've been 2 weeks out there because we both saw something that caught our eye.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's funny. I used to get disappointed with like, okay, we're driving, it's getting dark. Like we didn't even get to have a cool sunset at camp. And I started to realize like we would wheel into a place in the middle of the night, have no idea what it really looks like. Just know that we're in a decent zone. Maybe see deer crossing the road and stuff. Go out to a spot where we finally stop and camp for the night, wake up in the morning, and it turns into this amazing spot that we never expected
it's
to
like
find.
that gift.
That's
that little bit of gift.
That ever go the other way?
Hey, was it south?
It's a painting of trees on a wall.
Yeah, you wake up and you're actually in a McDonald's parking lot. And you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, we're in a Christmas tree farm in the middle of a city. Shit.
I've done pretty good at places, so he's let me take the lead, because the more I got better at finding places, he's like, oh, you're all right.
Yeah, I'll trust in it. But we've woke up to like South Carolina and gators all around us.
Oh,
we're like, oh, all right.
Thank you for this elevated tent.
Yeah, exactly.
How about that one time we were coming across, was it South Dakota, across the edge of Nebraska, and I'm like, there's these dirt roads to this water. It was scorching hot that day. We were in just the Yeti. It was last summer. And I thought I found a couple sweet spots for us to camp for the night on the water, and we ended up in the middle of a farmer's field. And we weren't supposed to be.
Old man Peabody.
Yeah. Death zone.
I'm sure that's you never know it's private land when it's someone owns a 20,000 acre ranch, but they have a dirt road you turn up and it's open.
Well, you look on the map and it looks like public roads you can go on, and then it turned into this, turned into that, and we're like, ooh, we weren't.
Angry man with shotgun.
Yeah,
is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. We've been pretty fortunate though. I think maybe. I'd say less than 3 instances like that. Most of the times it opens the conversation and they're tripping out on the rigs. And
well, you don't have a rig that looks like you're there to rob them. You know, you could start with that.
How about that campground I found in Kentucky?
Well, there you go. All good stories start with
all good
Kentucky.
It was like 3 a.m. for something crazy, and we were exhausted. And we roll into this campground that either you went right and you saw, what was it?
Civil War
reenactment
battlefield.
area, like the battlefield, or left was the campground.
Like there's guys in gray coats hanging out, or this was the
reenactment, but
this was the off season.
Well, they did do reenactments there, but it was
Every
the
day.
battleground. But we tool into this place,
It got weird real quick.
and it says it was a water access like campground. And we start going down this road that doesn't necessarily seem like it's going to a campground. It kind of.
Well, the telltale was like the first 5 double wide trailers on cinder blocks. I'm like,
shit.
this is weird.
Yeah.
Yay.
And
So we get up to the sign and it just says, what did it say? $10 for camping. Call Joe, and it has a phone number, and that's all
It's
it
handwritten,
says.
like-
Handwritten yellow sign.
Someone made a campsite.
I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I am not calling Joe right
Yeah,
now.
like we're not calling Joe, but we'll put the money in and we'll talk to him in the
It was
morning,
a bad
right?
move on our part. Joe was watching.
oh
He had cameras from back on the main road.
Yeah, he was in one of those double wides.
Joe would have preferred you call.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he comes out and the first thing he's yelling is, "Why didn't you call Joe?" And we're like, "Who's Joe?" And he's like, "I am."
Dude was a straight silverback. It was gnarly.
Wow.
Yeah, he came out on
I picture
fire.
Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black.
yeah.
Morning, sugar water.
On point. That's 100%.
It was a gravel parking lot and grass, so we went to go towards the grass, and oh no, you don't drive on Joe's grass.
Shit, it was Joe's grass?
Oh, yeah.
Joe's grass.
I put Scott feet on there.
Kids off my
Yikes.
lawn.
Remember when we were filming that Red Safari 911, like the last shots, we were down at this little river crossing, and there was a trailer like in the woods. We could see it wasn't that far, but it was like kind of an overgrown, hadn't moved in like a long time. And this dude comes out after 20 minutes, and he's wearing just overalls.
Sounds
He's
like Joe.
Very round, and he just like looks at us and like goes back inside, and then he comes out and he just takes out like a shitty like crumply notepad and just starts like writing stuff. And we're like, we look at Lee, who we're with, and he's like, we should go. And we're like, we were on a road, but his front yard, and he's just like, this guy looks so suspicious, and we're gonna end up like on a meat hook
shady.
somewhere.
Extremely shady.
That's about what we thought might have happened. You had to have a talk with
Oh, yeah,
Joe. It
I
was a
did.
little.
Yeah, we had a talk.
Are you guys friends now?
You could loosely say we're friends. It was.
We left by 10 a.m. He's like 11 o'clock. You got to be out. We're like, we'll be out sooner.
Sure
than that.
thing, Joe.
I just want a
I don't
lock
wanna
of
see
Holly's
you
hair.
again.
Can I just?
When he leaned in for a long smell, it was so weird.
Oh God. That's so creepy.
If I could have one of your socks, you could stay for free. talking to Yeti.
He was talking to me.
Well, it was awesome because he kept trying to tell us we need to go set our tent up on the grass, but we don't drive on the grass. We're like, you don't understand. The tent is attached to the
Blew
Jeep
his
on
mind.
top. He didn't get it.
Oh, my
And
God,
so we had
Joe.
to have this.
He thought we were mocking him, so it just like ramped everything up. I'm like, dude,
We are, but you can't understand that we are because
And all he kept saying was your fancy Jeep. Yeah.
oh my God,
You and your fancy Jeep.
you and your fancy Jeep. Joe,
Yikes.
you sad
It's like
man.
a kid. Yeah, you guys had some adventures, encountered some strange people.
Yeah.
If you had to buy a cheap off-road car, what would you buy?
you say off-road car,
Or vehicle?
Well, vehicle.
vehicle, cheap, Jeep XJ Cherokee. For
Cherokee.
yeah,
Yeah,
bang
yeah.
for your buck. They have basically everything the little Wrangler has. Has parallel leafs in the back, but those are good.
Unibody.
Yeah, they're unibody,
big
but
space.
cheap. That's the big part of that. Is like I think you pick one up for $1,200 if you shop them right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just think big space in the back for a bed.
yeah,
True.
and it's
Yeah.
it's basically
Like a Previa, would you say?
Dude, lifted Previa would be awesome.
A lifted Previa would be awesome.
a fun vehicle, like not something that was meant to be an off-road vehicle. It had to be like a sedan. Like I think someone threw around Crown Vic earlier. Those
Yeah,
would be
Crown
fun.
Vics, yeah.
I mean that
Rear
stuff
drive,
makes sense
solid
to me.
axle.
Yeah, it makes sense. to me.
Dorifto.
Yeah.
Someone built one of those for the Gambler, and they invited me with them, and they're all like 23 years old. They're like, we built an LS that's lifted, the LS 400.
Oh, I
and,
met
and
these
a Crown
guys.
Vic, and they're like, we're bringing guns and beer. I'm like, I don't know you at all.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in this car with you with these
You
things.
sound like a party favorite.
Yeah, have you heard
at
of this
that
thing?
point.
The
Yeah, it's like their friend Joe's running the car.
Have you heard of the Gambler
Yeah,
500?
they reached out
Yes.
to us and asked
Yeah.
us to do something with them. I think they even have a bike class now,
They
right?
do, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It
That would
sounds
be fun.
good, except that like apparently you can hit each other. Like that's okay.
Well, now
to
I'm
crash
in.
into
I'm
each
in.
other.
I'm in on that.
It's
Yeah,
if
you're
I go,
driving.
it just seems like someone's gonna be like,
You
I
are a
fucking
target.
watched your view of the S4. Like and really just
T-boned by a Volvo.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really bad.
Fair enough.
It does seem that everyone's building lifted like old sedans though, which seems like fun.
Well, it makes sense, right? There's a little bit of horsepower. Rear-wheel drive.
You want drifting.
Yeah.
That's what you really. The whole point of all of this is sidewaysness.
True.
Easy sidewaysness.
That was the error with the accent. The handbrake worked, but still wasn't the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the
Handbrake
same.
turns.
Hyundai.
You can only do like and then when I drove that Previa, he drove a Hyundai Accent that had 14-inch wheels.
You started it with a flip switch. We bought it 0 hour in Arizona. Basically, we were like, we needed to find a car, and this guy was like, runs. I drive it every day. It's $600 or something, and it made it.
Good buy.
Both cars made it through that trip, which was impressive.
Says something.
1,200 miles
That's
off road in
impressive.
a Previa and a Honda.
I think you need to hit us up next time. We'll have to make a buy.
It's
That
very
would be
fun.
fun.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah,
love
the
to do that.
game is you fly into a city and you just buy whatever you can
Count
get
us
that
in.
day.
That,
And then you drive
that does
it
sound fun.
1,200 miles off road with no prep.
That could end really quick, it sounds like, whatever you can
You know
get.
what?
Can.
We're always ready for that to happen, and then the fucking cars don't die.
That's what I'm talking about.
We always, we have Tim. Third time this show. We have Tim come in like a brand new F-150 truck, from Ford, 4x whatever. Tim blew out 3 fucking tires. The other cars didn't have
In
any
about
problem.
20
He
minutes.
hears had all the problems.
Well, one you hit like a sharp rock on the side.
P-rated tires, and I was going to 80 on
He
the
was
That's
mobbing.
the second
He
part.
was mobbing.
Oh,
with
details.
full payload.
Just
and
I'll tell you what, though, the Honda Accent did 90 on that same road. It was fine.
Stock mobbing.
Stock mobbing.
The
It was
hella
great.
Hyundai.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
You know?
that Hyundai. Remember when Tom wanted me to drive? It was so gross. Like he wore like rubber gloves and a mask
I
like, to
did.
drive it. It was super
nasty.
gross.
Well, the interior was tan, but the shifter was black.
I've been in those cars, and it's sticky.
Yeah.
Like that weird
Oh,
black
yeah.
substance on the steering wheel. You're like,
So
It
nasty.
was like hand butter or something. I don't know.
nasty.
people pay good money for that.
Years of that. Joe might have paid a lot of money to smell that shifter. I'm gonna get you guys free camping for life.
Consider yourself a member.
This guy's gonna murder me, whoever he is.
I
face and
guarantee he's
name.
not on
Just
the
leave
internet.
it with him.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit, that's so funny.
You guys would probably pick vehicles that would work because you'd actually inspect them correctly. Whereas we're just like, looks
No,
fun.
I don't know. I
The
think
problem
if
is
that
if
was the
you-
game, I'd go all in just like that.
Yeah, if you
So-
would start looking at stuff, then no car will
Yeah.
Right,
live up
right.
to. Even if it's like $1,000, you can be like, well, that's about to fall off, and they'll go, well, it's $1,000, and you go, no, I'll pass. And
hard pass, hard
That's
pass.
true.
The Previa was shockingly nice for $1,400,
Very.
and it was for the first day. It remained shockingly.
No, it was really nice. It was very. It was like
It
clean
was.
condition.
It was nice.
everything.
Yeah, it was
had
good
AC for a minute.
Good for about a minute. Yes,
One
Yeah.
minute
Then
total.
right until I handed him the money for it, and then it poof,
And then he went to,
was
reload
gone.
it. And then he went to reload the condenser
Holy
and
shit.
did it incorrectly and he cooled the air around us for like
Yeah, it was super fucked up.
10 seconds.
So awesome.
But those Washington, the backcountry discovery routes,
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to do some easy to medium off-roading with camping and all that stuff, you can either order a map from them or you can download the plotters to an
that's right.
Android tablet,
There you go.
which makes your life like. Tim, you were actually using that device, didn't
Yeah,
it? Was it
so easy?
So easy,
Yeah, you
right?
just follow the dot on the line, and
Oh, that's
it was,
fun.
It was.
That's nice.
I mean, if for a lot of people, for me, I'm a huge pussy. I love driving off road, but I'm so afraid of having to walk 50 miles out of the fucking desert. And I also I'm afraid of not knowing where I am. That's a fear of mine.
You got to get over that.
I
some
know.
Some of the best stuff is
a lot
out
of freedom
there.
on the other side.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, I can enjoy being in the middle of nowhere. I just want to know
You have an
that
out.
I'm where I'm supposed to be in the context of this map. That's all. Is that so weird?
No,
Then you
I think
have
it's
an
good.
out on wheels and you're not walking.
Yeah, I guess. It's not, I exaggerate the fear of walking out, but I just like to know where I am. I don't know.
I could see that. I don't think you'll be on the 750 next year. Then there's a lot of middle of the nowhere type.
Yeah, but if I'm in a caravan of
There you go.
10 cars, I'm not worried.
Then you're good.
No, yeah.
And we have
yeah.
guns,
It's all about what you're comfortable with, obviously. If you're if you guys would
Yeah.
be like the parachute in that situation. If you're solo and you really don't know where you are and you're not used to that,
Yeah,
I think
there you
we're
go.
not used to that. That'd be the difference.
That's what it appeals to, and that's why we kind of put it together, is because the participants, it's not that they wouldn't do it, but doing it on their own versus coming with us and
Cutting
coming in
their
a
teeth
group,
out
it
there.
kind of
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
gives them that confidence.
Yeah. Doing it in a group seems like fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Sounds great.
leave, you're tears in the eyes, like a bunch of family by that point because of all the things you've gone through, all the fixes and breaks and just epic adventure all together does that bond. So you're right. I could see where that fear that you're talking about isn't there in a group.
Yeah, because when we were doing it, like, there were no adults in the room. I'll follow an adult into the wilderness. Yeah. That's not a problem. I don't need to be the guy staring at the screen. I just don't want to be the guy that's in charge without a backup plan. That's all. My friends don't want to die out in the woods any more than I fucking do. We're going to wrap this up in about 5 to 10, folks. So if you have a question for Yeti and Yolo, throw it in the super chat for those of you listening live. And I'm trying to think, where are you guys trying to get to tonight? East LA. You're going. Your eventual journey is the 10 East past Palm Springs?
I think...
Or are you going to go north?
I think we're going to take is it the 15?
Yeah.
To the 40, because I've never seen the Grand Canyon.
Oh, go.
And so I think we're going to, instead of going through Las Vegas, we're going to cut through Arizona and go up.
Cool.
The North Rim, you can drive right up into it, too.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
And then you can go to Valley of Fire from there if you haven't been there.
Yep.
Have not been there. We've driven right by it, but have not been there.
That's rad.
You'll get out of LA and you'll instantly find somewhere awesome on the cliffside to go.
And the Mojave Trail on the way there, even.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we love the Mojave Trail.
Yeah.
We were actually considering doing that. Have you done that trail before?
Not the entirety. We've jumped on it. Well, when she did the Rebel Rally, did it do part of the Mojave
Oh, you did
Trail?
the Rebel Rally.
Yeah.
We had one of the other competitors on here before the last one. Oh man, I'm blanking on her name.
Wait, who?
The woman from that was in here with the V8 Jeep, with the 6.4 Hemi Jeep.
Oh, and she did the Gazelle Rally?
Rebel Rally.
Was it the Gazelle? Because they're both similar.
The Morocco or the U.S. one?
Morocco.
Oh,
That's
then that's a
Gazelle.
Gazelle.
Oh, that's Gazelle. Shit,
so
I'm
I did
sorry.
the U.S. version.
Oh, okay. Same thing, all women.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Where did the U.S. one go?
It starts just east of Tahoe on the Nevada side and goes all the way down to Glamis.
Oh, cool. It's fun?
Yeah, oh yeah.
How many days was it?
7 days total.
Same deal, no GPS, middle of nowhere, no
Compass,
contact?
map, you just have massive blank maps and pens and rulers.
So hardcore.
Yeah. That's why I follow her everywhere we go. I'm good.
Cool.
I'm good.
But that's all women, so who went with you?
So I had a navigator with me.
And you going in your rig?
We went in my rig, and then she's a Jeeper from Washington that flew down, and then we drove from San Diego up there.
Cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Do they let you bring the trailer on that one?
Did not.
Okay.
No trailer.
So you got to have it all on the truck.
Yep.
Did you specially prep the truck at all, or just ready to go?
Oh yeah, I prepped for a couple weeks to get her rig ready for that. And at the time, we had a little shop in Escondido, California, and it was like blasting the hours out to get that rig ready. And the day before the rally, I pull it out and I was like, "Holy crap! This is the nicest this rig's ever looked." 7 days later at the awards,
10 days later.
10 days later, I was like, "This is the worst." The shocks were blue, like it was just beat to hell. And I considered getting rid of it at that point. I was like, I cannot believe this thing is the same rig.
I overheated the radiator and had some little parts that needed to be replaced. I knocked a shock mount off.
Oh wow,
Came
good job.
dragging in the finish line on day 4 with the shock just dragging on the ground. I mean,
just straight 3 shocks.
Well,
Hey, we've done that.
I didn't know it till everyone's like, "There's something dragging behind you," and I get out and I'm like, "Man."
Waterbed
You didn't hear
style.
like ding 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 ding
Well,
ding.
because my partner had never, she comes from like rocks and snow. She had never done sand. She didn't know what whoops were. So it was funny explaining to her what a whoop. I'm like, "These are whoops," and she thought I was making it up until later. She's like, "I hate whoops."
Well, she hits it too fast and shit breaks. You're like, now it's called whoops.
Well, that's the thing, because the sun was going down, and you got to get to the final campground, and you're like miles out, and you see it, and you're just bombing it through the whoops. I mean, I treated that thing like
It's
it
a short
was
wheelbase car too. It's got
Oh, it was bad.
It was a tough
It was
one.
bad.
Good for you. That's a badass fucking rally, man.
We were living out of that rig at the time. So as soon as she pulled it back in, I patched it together and we hit the road.
You moved back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to
Tent
stay
back
with the.
I picture him sitting on a suitcase at the finish line,
Identical.
looking at his fucking watch.
Yeti thing.
That is very funny. Are you sponsored by Yeti yet?
No.
The coolers?
No.
Do you have a
No.
Yeti cooler?
I don't think we do.
I think that seems very synergistic.
Or you're going to get sued by them.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
One of those two things
We're
will
looking
happen.
out.
Let's
Do you
go.
use a cooler
We do sometimes put a cooler on board. I think the majority of
as
our
opposed to fridge for anyone
Yeah.
who's like,
Oh, do you
Fridges.
fridge it?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. So the
Or
center console in the
yeah.
Yeti is like a fridge, a Snowmaster, which is nice. So perishables are in there all the time, cold drinks, especially open rig in summer in the desert. It's big, but it's just like anything else. Depending on the next leg of the adventure, we'll throw a fridge in one of the rigs or the trailers. And
Do you stay pretty non-perishable? Is that how?
you know what?
do it?
I like to eat and I like to cook, so I pride myself on buying local and preparing food like that.
Oh, that's good.
So,
Yeah.
It is harder with a cooler. When we got the fridge, that's when we could really.
Yeah, we can haul
Shop
game
fresh
meat
fruit.
and stuff like that. So
Ice management sucks.
Yeah.
The
Go
cooler's the way to
yeah,
go.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, if you've got the cache, the coolers,
Yeah.
or the fridge is the
Right.
way to go
Well,
for
because-
sure.
Yeah, then you don't have one thing opens. You
Yeah.
have contaminated everything. The ice always melting. It's just a
Yeah.
mess.
Have they improved the wilderness cooking equipment recently? I mean, I've been in an REI recently, but I don't know.
It comes down to this: open fire cooking is still the best.
Oh, that's
Straight
still
up.
just the move.
Straight
Campfire
up.
it.
Yeah, and if you have the space and weight availability, cast iron still kills it. So
Cast iron's always kills
Yeah,
it.
right?
It's the next level.
Remember we did steaks by the river?
Fuck yeah, dude.
On the last trip.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
super delicious. I
That's
love
the
my
best food
cast
you can
irons.
get.
Huh?
yeah.
That's the best food you can
Open
get.
fire, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the? Oh, there's that. Who's the YouTube show they just sent us? That was like Mike Musto. Nino
Oh,
sent it
yeah.
out. We have a friend who's like kind of Italian, and there's a guy who does like cooking by the campfire. His whole YouTube channel is campfire cooking.
With like, but
And
he
he's
was
like
he had like lobsters and
Yeah,
all the
just
kinds of
lobster
crazy
tail.
stuff. Like
It was
he's-
serious.
He's never gonna clean his hands, but I'll find it.
Yeah, let's go to the super chats and see if we have any questions. I saw a few questions came in for Yeti and Yolo. A couple just straight up donations. Thank you. Where did the term bro come from? Jovan Lopez? I think it's short for brother.
Yes.
This thing.
How much money did someone spend to ask that question? That's what's great.
$2. How common, Zachary Bennett, how common would you say it is to start on a manual transmission without knowing how to drive it? Yolo, would you like to say how common is it?
I would
don't
say
know.
everybody that drives a manual.
Everyone who starts on a manual doesn't know how to drive it.
That's a good, yeah. Well, you know what? I grew up with my dad saying like I need to learn, because if there was ever an emergency and you had to jump in a vehicle and it was manual and you didn't know,
Totally.
like, that's a ridiculous thing to
100%.
not.
Yep,
Totally.
So-
All those carjackers' parents never taught them that. And consequently, they could not carjack because it was manual. I think, so here's the thing. I know personally of 3 people who bought, excluding Yolo, who bought stick shift cars and then had me teach. I would go to the dealer, drive their car home, and then take them out and teach them how to drive it. And I did that 3 times. So
Wow.
it is possible. I mean, we're giving you anecdotal evidence, but like if Zachary there is considering going to a dealer or buying a manual transmission car and not knowing how to drive it, this lovely lady right here was able to do it with no trouble at all.
Right.
Some trouble. With some trouble, you were able to do it.
Just a smidge.
It's not bad. You didn't blow through a clutch, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you're fine. It's totally doable. And I have a YouTube tutorial series called How to Drive Manual Transmission, Parts 1, 2, and 3. Go watch that. I can't read that person's username. What does that say?
Rayakachu.
There you go. Thanks. Converting a classic to an electric, like an old Jaguar XJS. Heretical or practical? What great classics have awful engines that could be replaced? I like this question. Not heretical. An old Jaguar, right? Grace, space, pace.
Yep.
You could make that fucker fast.
Yeah.
And a silent Jaguar would be
Ooh, nice.
very graceful. And you're not changing the space. Yeah, no, definitely. I drove an electric Volkswagen Beetle that was way better than any gas Beetle I've ever driven. Let's see. We drove that.
Electric
is cool.
Honda Accord from 1981.
Oh, the Teslonda.
The Tesla.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a
That's
guy in
beast.
Reno who put a Tesla drivetrain in an 81 Accord.
That sounds amazing.
Fucking fast.
Yeah.
I think any engine that is overly complicated and doesn't put out a lot of power, like the XJ12, if you have a V12 and you're like, well, how much power you make? It's like 240.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
what are you
V12.
doing
It's a
with your life?
shitty V12.
You know, and if
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like much, like what are you losing? But with electric, you're gaining
Right.
torque and reliability.
Right.
you know?
Right. I would say that Jaguar XJ V12s definitely make the best coffee tables.
Right.
It's about the only
Cheap,
best
a
they
very
have.
cheap V12 you can
Yeah.
get.
I think electric hot rodding is happening. Like this is a thing that's going to happen big now because people are crashing Teslas.
How long do you think till a robust 4x4 is electric?
Well, the problem is range,
They built
right?
one, didn't they? Didn't it? Somebody built
EV
a
West
Jeep,
built a
a
buggy.
JK.
Oh, that's right. There was that other company that had like it was almost like a startup that they
I bet
built
you it'd be
type
probably great to drive.
Yeah.
You know, and considering most
torque is where
off-roading
it's
is
at.
slow, I think the battery would last a while. It's highway driving is what goes through these batteries real fast.
Right.
But
I think I'd bet maybe 10 years you could have solar panel tech would be at the level that you could have them all over the roof and probably the hood and stuff, and then you could charge your battery while you're driving or camp for half a day or whatever, and they'll probably get the density
I like
really
that.
good.
I like
That'd be
that.
cool.
I think it'd be rad.
What do you think? Okay.
See, that's really cool to hear from someone who has an LS swap thing because so many people are like against the progress. But what would you like about it?
I think the torque is where it's at. From what I know from electric is it's on demand and it's massive, right? And
Yeah.
honestly, everything you really need is traction to the ground, torque. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean,
as hell. Even a
doesn't
close
most
course like a
off-roading-
competition would be rad in an electric off-road.
This is the
vehicle.
electric.
Oh, wow, look at that.
JK.
Oh, look at that.
Doesn't a lot of your off-roading happen at like less than 3,000 RPM anyway?
Yeah.
You're not winding the shit out of your motor all the time,
Not
are you?
all the time.
No. So an electric drivetrain would be good. I honestly think it's the availability of recharging and the time for recharging, because you could find yourself in the middle of nowhere and you can't go get a gas can
Like
and
you
come
were saying,
back.
the solar
Right.
tech part. I mean, now there's solar cloth, like the awnings that you pull out are solar, and
But
that's
right now it would
could
take
just kill
so
it.
long
It would
to
take
charge a
forever.
car with a solar
Yeah.
charger.
10
Matter of
years,
time, though.
Yeah.
Matter of time before it's just the
Oh,
roof
eventually.
that runs the car forever.
Oh,
True.
yeah, but that would be a perpetual motion machine, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Perpetual motion.
No,
Like-
because you're still taking in energy from the sun. So perpetual motion is like you put in
Right,
energy
but the
once
sun
and it just
doesn't
goes and
produce
goes and
enough
goes.
energy. Okay, so it's the wrong term, but the sun doesn't produce enough energy to.
Well, we can't capture it enough
That,
yet,
yeah.
is what I'm saying.
I don't think it produces enough. I think it's not possible to capture enough
On one-
in
in a square
area
inch
of
or
a car.
something.
Yeah, we have like pretty efficient solar panels. Like those are efficient designs, but
Moore's law,
True.
a couple more years.
I was gonna say
it'll be
that's today's standards, though.
Right.
We said that about a lot of stuff 50 years
but
ago.
I don't think solar panels have gotten drastically smaller, have they?
So it'd be new tech that would have to introduce itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think
AI will figure it out.
You need to just have availability of charging from some other way, I think.
Or like the other side would be the battery capacity gets huge and dense. So if you have a 400-mile range on road,
Yeah.
and if you can charge with solar and get like 100 a day, it'd be some sort of partnership with that, maybe with the move.
I mean, if you could guarantee like 200 off-road miles or something, and then charge it in a normal, drive into a town and charge it in a normal
Right.
period of time.
Yeah, and 200 off-road miles is
a lot.
Tremendous for the average person. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's done in a weekend ever.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
I
so-
guess it depends on what the actual range is of an electric off-road vehicle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I guess weight isn't so much of an issue, so you could
Right.
make something that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone has thought of it. We're going to get a million fucking tweets
Get
after
blasted.
this.
Yeah, we will.
Get blasted.
It'd be cool, but like your trailer, you could have your trailer with a battery tray in there as like an additional
Right.
charge source.
Yeah, that'd be bitchin'.
And you could just
Yeah.
leave it at camp,
Same
go driving
mentality
and
as
stuff.
carrying the extra fuel.
Yeah.
Or maybe if they did come out with some sort of a flexible solar panel that was like almost like one of those Mylar space blankets that you could unfold.
They have that
and have
already.
they
Really?
have that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know
They
the
do.
pull-out awnings like we have on the rigs? Those are
Like a sunshade?
Yep,
awning?
those are solar panels now.
Fuck
so,
off.
Tapui tents, the same tent
or
company.
just like a blanket type
yeah.
sheet you lay
so
on
all
the
the
ground
soft
or
goods
hang
can
up.
be now solar as well.
That's
I
sick.
wonder what someone will have to come in and explain what the math is and how long it would take to charge an electric
I'm sure
car
it's
on
still
that.
ridiculous
Oh,
right now,
I'm
but
sure it's
yeah.
not very
but-
good.
Yeah.
yeah.
But if
All
you got
you
nothing
do-
to do but sit there and let the sun cook you, I guess.
Go fishing and
Yeah, I mean, it definitely they have solar panels that are enough to power accessories and to keep
Right.
batteries charged, but
Right.
making a car move takes a lot of fucking juice. Can you? This sounds dumb. Can you get a 240 volt putt generator, and how much diesel does that run? Like
You actually can't. That Jeep that I brought up earlier, they would carry a generator with it in
Sure.
case. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
that's what I was
There you
thinking.
go.
How much fuel you carry?
Well, I was
right?
thinking,
exactly.
right? Because if you could get a full charge out of 2 gallons of diesel, that might actually
Extended
be
stay,
worthwhile.
right?
Yeah. To the second half of the person's question: what great classics have awful engines that could be replaced? Great classic with an awful engine. A Jaguar XJ12 is a good one.
International Scout too.
Any Rolls Royce from the 70s.
Anything from 1980s.
Any car from 1974 through 1983.
Most Italian cars before now.
The La Forza SUV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any BMW era Range Rover. All Volkswagens 1939 to 1996.
Yeah, terrible.
And some after that. All diesel Volkswagens.
That's kind of where they're headed, right? Can we have that back?
Last one. Luis Gonzalez, opinion on 1990s Land Cruisers. They're the shit. Tim,
I'm the Toyota
Tim's
guy.
our
Right,
resident Toyota expert.
FJZ 80s and LC 100s and 200s, all of them.
Super desirable right now,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Super
So
desirable.
I guess Yeti would go with the 80 because it's a solid front axle,
I
and
like the
after
80s.
that it switched up, but it's a little underpowered, huh?
Yeah. Drop LS in it.
There you go.
Well, that's
Just be done with it.
a friend of mine is having a certain someone who works with Land Cruisers do an LS powered like a 95 or a 96
Oh, that's awesome.
Land Cruiser for my friend.
Nice.
I have to be stupidly coy about it. I'm sorry, but
TLC, et cetera, et cetera.
there's just a reason that I don't want to. I just don't want to get fucking yelled at. Okay, I just want to go through my day without getting yelled at on
Good luck.
Sunday. That's
Good
all.
luck.
That's all I want in my life is to not get fucking yelled at.
No yelling on Sundays.
Don't yell at me on Sundays. Damn it. Well, guys, this was really fun. I'm glad you guys could stop by.
Yeah,
I hope
thank
it
you.
wasn't too far out of the way.
Wow.
Not at all.
Appreciate you having us.
Oh, absolutely. And when you circle back on your loop through, you can tell us how your journey was.
There you
in your
go.
Yeah, man.
vehicle.
Deal.
It's really cool.
We'll
Good
have
one,
to
guys.
do new
Plug
stories.
everything. Plug everything. Where should people find you?
I'd say social media is the best go-to to follow our adventure and all the builds.
Can you be a little more specific?
Yeah.
Instagram is what he's trying to say.
All of them. No. Instagram at the Jeep called Yeti and the Wild Yolo, and then the website.
Yeti-built at yahoo.com.
That's it.
Yeti-built at... Wait, what?
That's your email, right?
Yeti-built.com.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. Gotcha.
And YouTube? You have a YouTube?
Yeah, the
Hustle and
YouTube
Roam.
is Hustle and Roam.
Oh my God, you guys have a lot of different names. We're going to have to condense these names together into one common brand, I think. That's
Deal.
going to simplify. It's going to help you guys get more audience because people have a very short memory. We'll put it all in the description, so just go click on your podcast thing. Live people, if you've been watching live, we thank you for your time on this Sunday afternoon and evening. Yeti and Yolo off to Iowa to freeze their asses off and build a sweet Jeep. Thank you guys very much. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. You just need something to say, a microphone to talk into, and then the internet to listen. That is all. Happy Sunday. Good evening. Peace.
Adios.